Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County School Board's regularly scheduled meeting this Tuesday, April 27, 2021. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We have all members, I believe, in attendance this evening. Member Gallo is calling in from Tallahassee. Let me do a quick roll call vote, beginning with Member Gallo.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Member Gallo. Member Lopez.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Member Colbert.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon, Member Vice Chair Gould.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Member Felder.
Good afternoon.
And Member Kester-Denel.
Good afternoon.
Member Byrd.
Good afternoon, Chair.
All right, wonderful. All present and accounted for. All board members, as I mentioned, are participating either publicly or telephonically, but we have all made a commitment that during our meetings, we are tuning out all of our electronic devices and tuning totally into the business at hand. So if you're trying to reach any of us during the meeting, you're not going to get a response, and just want to let you know ahead of time. To my fellow board members and to the public, let me remind everyone that when you're speaking, I'm probably not doing a good job of modeling. When you're speaking, speak directly into the mic and make sure that your microphone is turned on. And I want to invite you all to join us as we begin our meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are celebrating several important proclamations this evening, beginning with proclaiming April 2021 as National Arab American Heritage Month in Orange County Public Schools. I believe this is the first time that we are recognizing that important event. Also, we are proclaiming May 2021 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month here in Orange County Public Schools. And I want to recognize Member Felder for bringing that to our attention. That is not something that we previously have recognized in a very important proclamation. Did you want to speak at all to that issue?
Thank you so much, Chairman Jacobs. I am so glad as educators, it is, I believe, our appointed responsibility to always be a part of inclusion, not because of what we've seen the past several months, but because as teachers and educators, we teach children from all walks of life. As administrators, we work with people from all cultures, from all walks of life, and we live in Florida. This is a cultural mecca right here. So I am so grateful that as a board, that we are perhaps leading maybe other boards in this state or maybe in the country of recognizing the accomplishments of Asians and Island Pacificers. So I'm so very happy, and thank you so much for doing this. Thank you.
Absolutely. If I echo the words of Member Felder, you know, one of the things that I, as a public school attendee, realized as I got older was the greatest thing that I got from my experience wasn't the academics, although I did quite fine having gone to public education my whole life, but it was the ability to connect with so many people from so many different backgrounds. And that was many, many years ago. You look at our public schools today, and the rich diversity within our classrooms is just amazing. And it allows our students to graduate knowing how to interact with people from all walks of life, from all backgrounds, from all ethnicities. And I don't think there's a richer thing that you can provide a student than that experience. So thank you for bringing this to our attention and also being able to celebrate Arab American Heritage Month as well. We are also proclaiming May 2021 as Better Hearing and Speech Month in Orange County Public Schools and as Building Safety Month here in Orange County Public Schools. We are proclaiming May 2021 as National Foster Care Month in Orange County Public Schools. And we are proclaiming May 2021 as Mental Health Awareness Month and May 6th as the National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day in Orange County Public Schools. And to read that proclamation, let me call on Mary Bridges, if she's, there you are, Ms. Bridges.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Jacobs, Superintendent Jenkins, and school board members. Is the mic on?
You're on.
Okay. I'm here this afternoon with some of the members of our mental health team. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and May 6th is Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. This past year presented many difficult challenges and obstacles that tested our strength and resiliency. The pandemic forced us to cope with situations we never even imagined, and many of us struggled, none more than our youth. Our students struggled to stay connected to friends, teachers, and their schools. We found out how important social-emotional learning, SEL, strategies are for our kids. SEL strategies are the foundation of emotional and mental wellness. This year, the OCPS strategic plan had the district focusing on SEL. We learned the importance of teaching all students the fundamental skills such as self-management, self-awareness, coping skills, resiliency, problem-solving, and good decision-making. We also identified many students that needed additional mental health support and counseling. Through our annual stakeholder survey results, we saw that school culture and school climate is a major indicator as to whether students feel a sense of belonging at their school, which leads to student success. We saw our teachers, administrators, and classified staff all working hard to serve our students, while they may have also been struggling. During Mental Health Awareness Month, we encourage you to put mental health first. We urge staff, students, and parents to practice self-care and take time out to be kind to themselves. If you are struggling, don't be afraid to ask for help. And now, I'd like to read the proclamation for Mental Health Month and National Children's Mental Health Awareness Day. Whereas, the need for comprehensive, coordinated mental health services for children, youth, young adults, and families places a critical responsibility on our community. And whereas, it is appropriate that Orange County Public Schools dedicate a time each year to raise the awareness of mental health. And whereas Orange County Public Schools, through its unique approach to providing resources to students and families with mental health needs, is striving to effectively help students be more successful. And whereas Orange County Public Schools encourages its citizens to participate in uniting to meet the mental health needs of children and youth in our community. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the school board, Orange County, does hereby proclaim May as Mental Health Awareness Month and May 6th as Children's Mental Health Awareness Day in Orange County Public Schools.
Thank you, Ms. Bridges. Our next proclamation is for May 2nd through the 8th as Teacher Appreciation Week here in Orange County Public Schools. And I believe Ms. Dormal is here. Ms. Dormal, you want to come forward? Ms. Dormal is the president of our CTA, the Classroom Teachers Association. Ms. Dormal, great to have you here with us today.
All right. Good evening, Chair Jacobs, Superintendent Jenkins, and school board members. As we prepare to celebrate Teacher Appreciation Week, May 3rd through 7th, I want to address educators and recognize their tremendous work and invaluable contributions. Teachers are among the most dedicated and committed of all community members and are one of the most influential and important forces in children's lives. Teachers shape the future with every inspiring lesson, creative activity, and encouraging word. In a year that has been anything but normal, teachers found a way to overcome each obstacle to make normal happen for every child. Even in a normal year, teachers are expected to work many more hours than what they are paid for, and they do. But this year, they have exceeded every expectation as they gave even more of their personal time. Sorry, I have an asthma attack. They navigated through the year with determination and incredible skill, meeting every challenge like a warrior. They managed to switch from virtual format to face-to-face classes or a hybrid combination whenever they were asked. OCPS educators refused to allow a computer screen to be a barrier. They made heroic efforts to reach every child with lessons infused with knowledge, love, and compassion. I want to thank every teacher for inspiring your students to be the best they can be, for going above and beyond every day, but especially for making the impossible possible for every student throughout the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are also recognizing May 7th as School Lunch Hero Day here in Orange County Public Schools. And we are proclaiming May 12th as National School Nurse Day in Orange County Public Schools. And I have to say that these three proclamations, as Ms. Dormal said, this has been an unprecedented year. And the contribution of our teachers towards our students' education and to their mental and emotional well-being is immeasurable. And at the same time, when we look at our school lunch personnel and what they have done to sustain our students is also unprecedented. And our school nurses. So all three of these proclamations, although we celebrate them every year, they mean so much more this year to each of us up here because we understand the enormous role that these people have made in the lives of our students, just keeping them fed, keeping them educated, keeping them grounded, keeping their life as normal as possible. So from the board to all of those who work for Orange County Public Schools, God bless you and thank you. And now, Dr. Jenkins, do we have any recognitions?
No recognitions tonight, Madam Chair, but I would echo on behalf of administration just a heartfelt thank you. We have wonderful treats and things going out both to our heroes in the cafeterias as well as our teachers. Those are just tokens to say thank you, but I know our parents and others will thank our teachers and our employees as well. It's a great time to celebrate as we head down the home stretch with 4 more weeks of school. Thanks to our entire working community of Orange County Public Schools, and a special celebration for teachers who make the difference on the front lines.
Absolutely, and hopes and prayers that when we return in August, we are returning to a normal environment. But we will have to wait and see for sure. And now, Dr. Jenkins, any changes to the agenda? All right, with no changes to the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Motion by Member Lopez, is there a second? Second by Vice Chair. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Member Gallo?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We will move on to our public hearings. We'll begin with public hearing 3.01, request for approval of the rezoning of Hamilton Gardens subdivision to commence August 2021. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a reminder to the general public, these have been through work session previously with significant discussion. Carol McGowan will walk us through each one briefly, and then we will need action from the board on each as well, Madam Chair. And I will not speak again until we are done.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. McGowan, you're
evening.
recognized.
Good evening, Dr. Jenkins and board members. Prior to beginning our presentation, it is on. Are we okay?
We are good. I apologize.
Yay.
Yes, we're good.
Okay.
I hear you now.
Prior to our presentation, I'd like to present the other staff members who are here with me from student enrollment. To my left is Stacy Neal, and to my right is Dr. Andy Jenkins. I'm sorry, Andy Westerman. There's, this evening, I'm going to go out on a good note. I'm going to stumble my way through this. So I'm going to take a deep breath and start again. This evening, we're bringing forward options for 2 targeted rezonings and 5 relief schools. The relief schools are 30 ESE3, 90 K8 N7, 132 MW4, 89 EW4, and 114 EW4. The targeted rezonings will commence in August of 2021. The relief schools will open in August of 2022. All rezonings, no matter how small, follow School Board Policy JC that is on our screen. A quick review of the steps. The first 4, staff provide approval from the superintendent to begin the process of creating the timeline and meeting with internal stakeholders. Staff conducts research and data collection and then creates possible options. Staff holds a community meeting to present the options, explain the process, and answer questions from our community. Step 6 is the Rural Development Workshop, and Step 7 is the public hearing. Step 8 is in regards to housing all the information. At both the Rural Development Workshop and the public hearing, the community is invited to speak. To describe the scope of a rezoning, we use the terms targeted, technical, and relief school. A technical rezoning has no students involved. A targeted rezoning is selected areas are recommended to be moved, and there are students involved. And a relief school means we got a new school opening. The timeline for this rezoning had our community meeting on March 3rd. Our rural development workshop was on March 30, and tonight we're holding the public hearing. We have a naming convention for all relief schools. The 30 is the real estate property number. The E represents the type of school, in this case elementary. The SE is the learning community, Southeast, and 3 represents the board member district. As part of the rezoning process, the school board established the grandfathered transfer. For a grandfathered transfer, a student meets one of these 3 criteria. They have been rezoned by OCPS 2 or more times during a school level at the current address, or they have been rezoned from an established school to another established school. In this case, the student remains at the existing school. Or, for a relief school, they are rising 5th or 8th grader. Transportation's not provided, and there's eligibility for siblings is the same for each student. On our website, we provide all information that is in regards to rezoning. On your screen shows how we get to the information. When we get there, we have all sorts of information for folks to see. Timeline, community meetings, the tapes, maps, options, everything. We also have on our website how you get to the grandfather transfer. Once again, it's on the screen for all of us to see the steps to get there. We ask for community feedback, and we provide 3 ways for our families to provide this. They can do an online survey, they can email me, or they can do a petition and bring it to our office. The summary numbers that are provided tonight reflect a total that combines the survey, emails, or petitions. Any duplication of the input was removed from the totals, and all of the input has been provided to the school board. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Andy so he can walk us through Hamilton Gardens. Dr. Westerman.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Can you pull the mic a little closer?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Much better, thank you.
I had to put my teacher voice on. The targeted area in yellow. Sorry, we're going to talk about Hamilton Gardens first. The targeted area in yellow and currently zoned for West Orange High School There are 8 OCPS high school students currently residing in the targeted area, and it's recommended we move the targeted area from West Orange High School to Horizon High School attendance zone. If approved, this is how the 2 new zones would look. As of April 23rd, there's been no additional input received after the rule development workshop. Dr. Jenkins?
Dr. Jenkins, thank you. Let me call on Vice Chair.
Yes, this is a targeted rezoning to put that community back to remind you, and I would move that we go ahead and approve this.
All right, any questions about the motion? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion by Vice Chair, seconded by Member Castrodeno. No comments or questions? Then I'll call for the question. All in favor, Member Gallo?
Aye.
Okay, the rest of the board, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, before we go on to the second rezoning, I did have a question for Ms. Emval. If it would be appropriate for us to take up the consent agenda and dispense with that quickly before we go through the rest of these?
You can do that if you want to.
Okay. The consent agenda is generally a simple motion. Pardon me? We have no speakers on the consent agenda. We have no speakers on the consent agenda. If there is a motion to approve the consent agenda.
And there's nobody on the call for the consent agenda. They're all speakers for the rezonings.
Okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda, Chair.
All right, thank you. Where'd that come from? Member Cobert, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second
Second
that.
by Member Lopez. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Member Gallo, you were in favor, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Let's move forward then with the second rezoning.
All right, the next one is Sanctuary at Lakes of Windermere. This targeted rezoning includes both the elementary and middle school zones. This first map shows the targeted area currently in Independence Elementary Zone. This area is projected to have 15 elementary students, and it's recommended to move the targeted area from Independence Elementary to Sunset Park Elementary. If approved, this is how the new zones would look. The next map shows the targeted area currently in the Bridgewater Middle School Zone. This area is projected to have 8 middle school students, and it's recommended to move the targeted areas from Bridgewater Middle to Horizon West Middle. If approved, these are how the 2 new zones would look. Additional input from the community after the rule development workshop as of April 23rd shows 1 in support and 1 oppose. Dr. Jenkins?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Let me ask, do we have any callers on the line? I know we have no speaker cards.
No, we don't. On the line, you have eight callers, but they're all for item 3.06.
Thank you. All right, with no callers, Vice Chair, you're recognized.
Again, this helps to balance out our schools, and I would move this forward for your approval.
All right, we have a motion to
I'll
move the
second.
recommended. And I'm sorry, the second came from Member Byrd. Thank you. Motion by the Vice Chair. Any comments, questions? Seeing none. Let me start with Member Gallo. Member Gallo,
Aye.
okay. Board members?
Aye.
All right, any opposition? Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Jenkins, back to you.
Good afternoon. I'm presenting the advertised option for 30E SE3, which will commence August 2022. Let me acclimate you to the map. The red lines are the current 2021 school lines, and the area in yellow is the proposed new school zone for 30E SE3. The purple is the proposed Weatherby Elementary School Zone, green is Meadowwoods Elementary proposed school zone, and the orange is the proposed Wyndham Lakes Elementary School Zone. For each school zone, there is an information bubble which contains the permanent program capacity, PPC, the proposed resides, and what is projected for the school's opening in 2022. I will start with Weatherby Elementary. Weatherby has a permanent program capacity of 758, proposed resides of 934, and projected for the 2022 school year, 980 to 1,010. Meadowwoods Elementary has a permanent program capacity of 791, resides 728, projected 720 to 750. Wyndham Lakes Elementary has a permanent program capacity of 768, proposed resides 851, and projected 740 to 770. The new school, 30E SE3, has a permanent program capacity of 791, proposed resides 758, and projected for the 2020 school year 730 to 760. This is the data table for the advertised option, and I will go over Meadowwoods Elementary with you. The first column has the school's name and permanent program capacity of 791, while the second column has the enrollment numbers for the school from October 15, 2020. 741, and the percentage of white, 74%, 20% black, 6% other. Percentage of non-Hispanic is 23%, and Hispanic 77%. The next column is the current number of students residing in the zone, 864. The fourth column are the numbers for proposed resides, 728, and percentage of white, 76, black, 22%, and other, 2%. Non-Hispanic, 22%, Hispanic, 78%. And projected students for the 2022 school year, 720 to 750. The fifth column shows free and reduced meals with current and proposed percentages. Current, 60%, proposed, 65%. And students receiving free and reduced meals. Sixth column is exceptional students education with a current percentage of 11%, proposed 12%, and the last column is for English language learners. The current percentage, 32%, and proposed 32%. I'll give you some time to review the other schools. As of April 23rd, we've received 2 responses from the community, and they both are in support, 0 opposed. This concludes my presentation of 30E SE3. Dr. Jenkins?
Thank you. Member Cobert, do you want, let me confirm. We don't have any speakers, I believe, until 3:06. Okay. To you, Member Cobert.
Thank you, Stacy. Staff did a great job. This is complicated, involving 4 schools. The way they did this protects all 4 schools, including the existing and new schools. So I would like to move that we accept staff's recommendation.
Thank you, Member Cobert. Do we have a second? Second by Vice Chair Gould. Member Gallo, are you in favor?
Yes, I'm in favor.
The rest of the board, please say aye if you're in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And we are on item 304. Dr. Jenkins.
I'll present the advertised option for 90 K8 and 7. The red lines are the current elementary school zones. The area in yellow is the proposed new school zone for 90 K8 and 7. The map includes Wolf Lake Elementary in purple and Zellwood Elementary in orange. For each school, a comment bubble contains the information such as the school's permanent program capacity, or PPC, the proposed resides for the option presented, and the projected resides for the 2022 school year. Starting with the new K8 school, the PPC is 1,200, proposed resides is 931, and projected for the 2022 school year is 880 to 910. The Wolf Lake Elementary School has a PPC of 744, with a proposed resides of 742, and for the 2022 school year, 700 to 730 students. Zelwood Elementary has a PPC of 569. Proposed resides is 527, and projected for the 2022 school year is 440 to 470 students. The next map shows the current middle school lines in green. Again, the area in yellow is the proposed new school zone for 90 K8 and 7. Apopka Middle is in green, and Wolf Lake Middle is in purple. For each school, there are comment bubbles showing the numbers for each school, the PPC, the proposed resides, and the projections for 2022. Here's the data table for the advertised option. I'll give everyone a moment to review all the numbers. The community input after the rule development workshop as of April 23rd is 1 in support and none opposing. This ends the presentation for the advertised option for 90 K8 and 7. Dr. Jenkins?
Thank you. Member Byrd, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. I want to, again, thank staff for your work on this. I know with the K-8, there's a lot of schools involved, so there was a lot to consider. I think we ended up at one point with probably about, 8 different options, I think. So to get it narrowed down to this option took a lot of work, so I really appreciate that. And looking at these numbers just I'm so thrilled. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. I move that we approve this rezoning as it is presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Byrd. Do we have a second? Second by Member Cobert. Member Gallo, are you on the line with us? And if so, are you in support?
Aye.
Thank you. All other board members, please say aye if in support.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we are on 305.
Okay. We're now going to talk about 132 MW4. On our map, the lines are for the current school zones are in green. That plum purple color at the top will represent the new school zone for Sunridge Middle. Yellow is the new school, 132 MW4. The pink in the center will be Bridgewater zone, if approved. The green is the Horizon West Middle School zone. And as Andy and Stacy both said, there are information bubbles on the map. It gives you the permanent program capacity, the number of students residing, and the estimated number of students when it opens. And for another point, the green line on the far left is the Lake County line, and the green line on the bottom is Osceola. If we look at our data table, I will give you time to review the data that's here. And since our rule development workshop, and as of August 23rd, we have had 2 additional responses, and they're both in support of the option. Dr. Jenkins, this concludes the presentation for 132 MW4.
Vice Chair Gould, you're recognized.
Again, thank you to the staff. As we move west and hit against the Lake County line and look for the last 40% of the Horizon West development and the Halo communities around it, the lines are getting harder, actually, on the east side of that, and they've done an amazing job of preserving communities as much as possible. I would like to move forward the staff recommendation as presented.
All right, we have a motion from Vice Chair. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Lopez. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Member Gallo?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we are on 3.06.
Okay. This time, we're going to show you the proposal for 89 EW4 and 114 EW4, as all these areas are so close together and the schools involved. So if we look at our map, the red lines are the current elementary school boundary lines. And starting at the top of the page, the orange color would represent the new school zone for Whispering Oak if this is approved. The yellow would be the new school zone for 89 EW4. The pink would be the Water Spring Elementary School zone. Going back up to the top, the purple, it'd be the Kings Crossing zone. The light blue would be Independence. The darker blue would be Summer Lake. The purple would be 114 EW4. And the green would be Castle View. There are information bubbles on this map for each of the schools. And I'm going to go to the information page, the data page, so that we can look at the data for each of the schools. As of April 23rd, we had, sorry, I can't read, 3 in support and 29 opposed for the option basically for 89. Today we received 2 additional responses opposing 89. Dr. Jenkins.
Vice Chair.
We have 8 callers on the line,
I'm
and I
sorry.
believe you have some speaker cards.
Let's
as well.
take our first caller.
Our first caller is George Domini.
Mr. Domini, if you could begin with your name and address, and then you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you for calling in.
Yes. Hi, my name is George Domini, and my address is 16730 Rusty Anchor Road. It's in Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. And so thank you for the opportunity for voicing my concerns about this rezoning proposal. We moved to Winter Garden about a year ago, just specifically for having our children go to Whispering Oaks. We have a 6-year-old who would start this fall, and if this rezoning goes through, she would have to move switch school after just 1 year, just getting used to a new school. Also, because of the location of our community, we live in Waterside. The new school is a lot further away. Driving to the new school would mean we would have to take a turn right before Whispering Oaks and drive another 5 miles to get to the new school. And finally, our children are currently in Star Child, where they would stay for aftercare. And while they currently have a school bus transporting kids back and forth to Whispering Oaks, we're afraid that they would not go as far as the new school. So our neighborhood is right on the border of the new school zone, so I'd like to ask that we would be excluded for the rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's take our next caller.
Our next caller is Kristen Plank.
Ms. Plank, if you can begin with your name and address.
Hi, my name is Kristen Plank. I reside at 16735 Golf Lost Terrace, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787.
Thank you. If you can go forward with your comments, you have 3 minutes. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you. I am a mom to a current first grader at Whispering Oak Elementary and a soon-to-be kindergartner for the 2022-2023 school year. I live in Twin Waters, which is a subdivision off Marsh Road. I am calling to oppose the current rezoning and request that rezoning be reconsidered with our neighborhood remaining at Whispering Oak Elementary. I understand and am grateful for the fact that the district has recognized the need for an additional overflow school due to overcrowding. That said, I'd like to share a few points regarding where our neighborhood lies in relation to the proposed new zone. Our neighborhood is right on the cutoff line that would attend the new school. While I understand the line has to be drawn somewhere, I'm shocked that none of the 6 proposed rezoning plans recognize the following. First, our house is located 1.4 miles from Whispering Oak Elementary. Second, we are so close to the school that our neighborhood does not qualify for busing. Many families along Marsh Road actually walk or bike to Whispering Oak. Third, the proposed rezoning will triple our commute time to school. I am estimating the mileage would triple from roughly 1.4 miles to nearly 6 miles. And fourth, there is only one way from our house to get to this new relief school down Avalon Road. We would actually have to drive through a Whispering Oak crossing zone with crossing guards right before the school to get to the new school. This makes absolutely no sense. Additionally, current proposals are based on population growth estimates of when this school opens in 2022. Why would it not be 3 to 5 years? The Hamlin area is growing very, very fast. And very quickly, there will be absolutely no need for kids in our area to filter into that school, as this school will likely also be overcrowded and need relief. Finally, our kids love Whispering Oak, the proximity to our house, the teachers, and the administration. I kindly ask that Twin Waters neighborhood be included in the current zone for Whispering Oak Elementary, and that you oppose the current rezoning being voted on today. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take our next caller.
I want to apologize to our next caller. Our next caller is Amy, and I am not going to try her last name.
All right, thank you. Miss Amy, if you can help us with your last name.
Yes, it's a doozy. It's Shimolinski. I'm at 1681 Amstel Falls Park Terrace, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Same subdivision as Kristen, so Twin Waters. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm on the same page as George and Kristen in that I have a third grader who attends Whispering Oaks now. I also actually have a 6th grader who attends Sunridge. And both of these schools have been very much an integral part of our community. Specifically with Whispering Oak, my 3rd grader has special needs. He already has an established 504 plan with the school, special services in place, and it would be a complete disruption to him to have to restart at a new school. I also have a 3-year-old who just beat cancer. He was diagnosed at 2 with stage 4 cancer and went through some very serious and life-threatening treatment. He's currently in remission, but if he was to go to a school much further away than Whispering Oaks, when he's still in that remission recovery period and he has a lowered immune system, it would be much more stressful for me to have him so far away, especially when there is a school that's so much closer to us. So I would like to also even state that with Sunridge and Whispering Oaks in our communities, we're still zoned for West Orange High School, whereas most of the rezoning who will be filtering into this new elementary and middle school are going to end up going to Horizon High School. This means that our kids are actually going to have to grow up and be friends and have peers that aren't going to be going into high school with them. That's pretty significant to make them establish these relationships and then at age 14, 15, have to restart all over again with a new peer group. So I would also please request that you reconsider having Twin Waters filter into both the middle school and the elementary school. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tripolinsky. How did I do? I think we lost her. Okay. I like that name. All right, let's take our next caller.
Our next caller is Lindy Falcon.
Welcome, Ms. Falcon. If you can
Hi,
begin
yes.
with your name and address. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Lindy Fialkin. I live at 17030 Harbor Oak Parkway, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787.
I also live in the community waterside as another caller. I am calling to oppose the change. We picked our house, as many of us have, for Whispering Oaks Elementary. My children are in love with the school. I have 2 children there that will have to be uprooted from their comfort zone, which creates stress, anxiety. As we've been talking about earlier on the call, we want to raise awareness for mental health. I don't think it's fair to have to uproot children who so much love their school. Again, as someone said, it's not the academics, it's the ability to connect. They're going to be leaving their friends that they have built relationships with behind. In addition to that, I currently live 1.7 miles from Whispering Oaks, and I will now be driving 6.7 miles on a one-way road, one lane. It's a very dangerous road, in my opinion. There's not very many lights early in the morning. It's also a hardship on parents who work, who again picked this neighborhood based on their employment and distance to the school. It seems just very, I guess, unfair that we are now going to be driving so far. And it's not even the distance that's upsetting me. Again, it's having to tell my children that they will no longer be able to attend the elementary school that they love so much. Not every child fits into that one size fits all mold of, it's easier on the kids than the parents, I've been told, and that's not true for all children. I really think we need to consider all of these children, all of their mental health, before we just move them to a school that is 6.7 miles away from their neighborhood, away from their friends. So please, I'm asking to really reconsider rezoning these neighborhoods as mine waterside that are very close to the school. I appreciate your time. I do understand that we are in schools that are overcrowded. I completely am familiar with rezoning. It's a hard thing for a parent to have to go through this. So thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Let's take our next caller.
Our next caller is Ali Maziad.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Ali Maziad. My address is 16767 Broadwater Avenue, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787.
You can go forward with your comments.
Thank you. I will actually be moving into the Waterside community that's on Marsh Road in a couple months, and I'm against the proposed rezoning of the neighborhoods that are on Marsh Road for Whispering Oak. Our twins will be starting Whispering Oak in August 2021 as first graders, and with the struggle that all these young children have faced with the pandemic, trying to return to normal for the 2021-2022 school year, I feel like will be undone for many of them coming into 2022, having to be uprooted and move to another school, especially the young ones that will have started at one school and moved to another. We actually selected this home, this area, with the intention of our school attending this specific school. Whispering Oak Elementary is on the same street as all these neighborhoods on Marsh Road, and as people said, it's 1.5 miles for most of them. While this new school will have a small population at the outset, how long will that last? There are hundreds of homes being built literally across the street from the school site. I request that the Waterside neighborhood be included in the zoning for Whispering Oak. But that also brings me to another concern that there's another proposed site, 102 EW7, that is actually on Marsh Road that originally was on the plan for 2024. So if this site is to be developed too, does that mean that these children are going to be moved not once but twice potentially in their time in elementary school? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any more callers?
We have 4 more callers, Chair.
All right, thank you. Let's take our next caller.
Our next caller is Eileen Gomes.
Hi, my name is Alini Gomez. My address is 17331 Ball Harbor Drive, Winter Garden, 4787. I'm also based on Waterside Community. And I don't want to sound redundant. I think other callers mentioned all of the points that we wanted to discuss here, but I still want to voice my opinion and count as one person opposing the rezoning for the elementary school. My son is entering Whispering Oaks this coming August 2021. As other people mentioned before, Whispering Oaks is just less than 5 minutes away from Waterside Community, is less than 2 miles from the community, when the new school will be triple the time and distance in terms of where of its location. Besides the fact that we have a elementary school less than 5 minutes away, our kids going to this different location, they will be growing up with kids that won't be part of the same neighborhood as them, so they won't be building their social life around the people that they're going with school with. So I really want to oppose this rezoning and reconsider adding Waterside Community to stay within Whispering Oaks. Thank you for your time and opportunity.
Thank you. Let's take our next caller.
Chair, I apologize. This is our last caller, Colette Lavis.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lavis, if you could go forward with your...
Hello, my name is Colette Lavis. I am located at 16835 Sanctuary Drive, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. And I am located in the Sanctuary at Twin Waters community. All of the communities that are calling in about this right now, we are all located coming down Marsh Road before the Lake County line. There's only Twin Waters, Sanctuary Twin Waters, and Waterside communities. It makes sense to keep us zoned within the Whispering Oak zone since we are all less than 2 miles. Many of us this is all new communities, and many of us purchased believing that within a mile to a mile and a half of a school, the odds of getting rezoned would probably be low. I've been in Orlando. I've been in a part of the Orange County public school system since I moved here in 1986. And I was rezoned twice during school, and it was very rough. It was very difficult. And it is rough on the kids. We do understand. We do understand that we have overcrowding situations. My question is, how come we're not doing more to build bigger schools? When we do build them, we're seeing that we're going to have more, we're going to have more families with more kids coming in. Orlando has been nothing but a city of growth for years, over years, over years. And yet I'm also concerned in looking at the map plans for the new schools being proposed for both 89 and 114 EW4. My concern is that there's still modulars even being proposed on these sites. When are we going to stop with the modulars, and are we going to build schools that can house and take care of and educate all of our children? That's one of the questions that I think we would all like to have answered. Driving 7 miles out of the way, I clocked it because it's across from the new Walmart. It's 7.6 miles. So I don't think that's a fair ask for all of us. There's no quick way for us to get there. I refuse to bus my child for personal reasons. I don't bus her as it is, so I'm not using the bus system either. So I would like to, please, I implore you to reconsider and to please add these communities past the Hickory Hammock community, include us into this, and keep us with Whispering Oak Elementary Zone and Sunrise Elementary Zone. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. Is that our last caller?
That was our last caller, Chair.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair. Pardon me? No.
No cards.
Oh, no, there's nobody in the chambers. No, I apologize, no.
Thank you to all the callers. This one has been very difficult, and as I said on the previous one, it gets a little harder as we move west. We have looked for a school site closer to Whispering Oaks and have not found one suitable. I'm going to kind of work backwards on some of the comments. As we do move and rezone schools, we try to, at the end, leave them as close to right sizing as possible. And in most cases, we do that. So I'll take my own kids' situation. They were in Windermere Elementary, which is ground zero for all of your schools. And they were overcrowded and experienced that, as they did with Gotha, which Bridgewater was the relief school for Gotha. And now those schools are more in the right size and very workable. So if you look at the Horizon West Master Plan, including all of the new communities that have haloed around that, up and down 545, up and down 535, those communities that we know about have all been taken into consideration as we're planning schools. Doesn't mean that we're not looking for a few more school sites, because some of the density issues have changed. When Horizon West started, there were a lot more townhomes. Now we have some more multifamily. People love to live on the west side. You know, it's just a great place to live. So ultimately it will, but it doesn't make the challenges any less for those of us who have to live through the growth and get to the other side of it. So Whispering Oaks has been a particularly challenging, overcrowded school for a long time. There is a lot of traffic backup, even though the road was widened, because of all of the students and all the families that do drive to that school. And I've been concerned about safety because of the numbers of students going to that school. So it absolutely needs relief, for the students' sake, for programming's sake, for safety's sake, and for the comfort on the school campus. We dropped many, many more portables there in the last 3 years. Road improvements are coming. I know that the roads are not perfectly ideal right now, although there have been many, many road improvements along Avalon Road, and certainly as you go into down into Hamlin, there's even more improvements planned for 545. So I hope the roadways will get better. There is another alternative road that is a back road that you don't have to come out to Avalon Road, just for those of you who live on the west side of Avalon Road. The high school feeder pattern, I also wanted to talk about that. You may not be as aware of the densities in Horizon West and with many of these communities. So the lines are not that simple, but it pretty much, I won't say it'll equally rezone, but you'll have large cohorts of kids. We really do try to take that into consideration, and we'll continue to take that into consideration. Having had some neighborhoods that we went back and did targeted rezoning later when they did not stay with their cohort. So I don't like that, and I try to avoid it when I work with the staff. That's always one of my questions to them, as they're kind of noodling through this, and hopefully we won't have that again. So this one is hard, because normally I will find a way to make everybody happy that I can. I cannot currently find a way on this one for the amount of people who are opposing it. And I am disappointed with that, but at the same time, we have got to relieve this school. And hopefully we will find another site. And hopefully you'll be able to grandfather in when you love your next school equally as much as you love Whispering Oaks, because I can tell you it will be a grand school. And brand new too, which is always wonderful. So with that, I do move to support the staff recommendation.
All right, thank you. Is there a second? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second by Member Castor-Dental. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Member Gallo?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we'll go on to the next rezoning.
Fortunately, you had both of them at the same time with 114 and 89. You just need the vote for 114 at this point.
Okay. Vice Chair Gould?
And I also move to support the staff recommendation for 114.
We have a second. Second by Member Castro-Danville. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Member Gallo, I'm sorry, I should have individually called on you. Member Gallo, are you in support?
Aye.
Thank you. Passes unanimously. Before we move on, let me just take a minute to recognize extraordinary work. The last one, I understand what a difficult challenge that's been, what a difficult decision it is for you, Vice Chair. And I know if anybody could have found a way, it would have been you working with Ms. McGowan and her team. So, but when you look at the number of rezonings that we just had and the amount of support that we had, or the lack of opposition, it's frankly astonishing. Having been through this myself many years ago, I hate to say a couple of decades ago, probably at this point, but knowing what that process used to be like and how many people would have been in these chambers, and to see where we are today, I just want to take a moment to commend our staff. Ms. McGowan, your team, you've done a phenomenal job, and we are so very proud of you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
And
it.
thankful to you.
Yes.
Yeah, very tough job. Dr. Jenkins.
So I would not let the opportunity pass. I know she's hoping I will. This is her last rezoning.
Yes.
Dr. McGowan is actually retiring. We want to thank her for her dedication to Orange County Public Schools. On behalf of the children and the families and the staff, the board, thank you for your time that you've spent with us, and Godspeed to you on this, your retirement.
Thank you, ma'am. And
Absolutely.
may I say thank you to the board.
Ms. McGowan, I didn't clap because I'm not altogether that happy about it. I'm really happy for you, but you are going to be missed. You have just done an amazing job with an impossible task. So, comments?
Thank you. And I'd like to say it's been a pleasure and a privilege to work with such a fine group of people that our board and our senior leadership. These would not be they're always hard, but it's so comforting as the staff to watch as you work with us and work so hard to try to make things right for our families. So on behalf of the staff, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's
No,
been a
we
pleasure.
know how hard you work and how personally you all take this, and you put yourself in the shoes of every single child and every parent and try to come up with the best possible outcomes. And that's not easy to do, and we have been incredibly fortunate to have your leadership. Member Cobert, and then I'll go to Vice Chair Gould. Member Cobert?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to take a moment and thank you, Dr. McGowan, for your service. What you do is not easy or simple, but you make the extraordinarily complicated easy to understand. And I have had countless comments from constituents, residents, members of the public who have come to meetings and compliment the way that you handle those situations. What we all do can be highly emotional because we're dealing with people's children, people's families, and their neighbors and their neighborhood. But I've never, no matter how contentious it is, no matter how much people oppose, no matter how much they become emotional, I have never heard a negative word said about you because you handle everything with so much grace. That's the truth. That's my experience in the last 7 years. So I want to thank you for your service. Thank you for walking me through some of these very complicated issues, and Godspeed to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Vice Chair Gould.
It is always tough when somebody with such grace is a great word. Grace, integrity, dedication, and compassion for our families wants to start the next chapter of their lives. I don't know why you want to do that. It will be very tough. You have assembled an amazing team that has the same standards that you do, which is a wonderful succession planning on your part. But it will be hard to fill that role, because I too, and I have a lot of people who are not always as kind as they could be, but they have always felt that you have come from the right place. Always.
Thank you very much.
And tried to do what is in the best interest of our community and our students at the same time, which sometimes can be in conflict with one another. And I want to thank you for your guidance, your advice, your willingness to drive around and go to meetings, to learn about what's being planned. And I just truly appreciate the partnership that you've provided to me as a school board member and your council. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to echo what my fellow board members have said and just say thank you for your time, for your service, for handling everything with compassion. This isn't an easy job. I think, as Member Colbert said, moving children around, and you handle it so well, and you do it with grace and compassion. So thank you so much, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Felder.
Yes, Carol.
Yes, ma'am.
I met you back in 1987 at Dr. Phillips High School. We were sharing duty in the discipline office, and you were a math teacher. And even back then, your humor, even in the midst of the madness of teaching, your humor, I looked forward to our times working together. And then I remember coming through here, and I remember seeing you in pupil assignment. I said, you left us. And then when I won the election, I'm like, oh my God, you're here. So I haven't had a long time to be with you in this position, but I've known you for a very, very, very long time.
No,
and
Vicki, we're really young. We can't be that old yet.
I know. Your character has been constant. And sometimes when you're in what we do, sometimes you can change, or situations and circumstances can affect your character in a way that you can become different, not even really trying. But what I just want to say to you, I'm happy for your retirement, as Member Gould said, and Member Chairperson Jacobs. I don't want you to go because I just got here, but I understand. But I just want you to know that I appreciate the fact that you have remained constant. And wherever you go, whomever you work with or whatever you do, your humor is going to be remembered. And thank you for your service and loving our children. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Member Castrodano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, Carol, you are able, like my colleague said, to take something very complicated and fraught with emotion from the parents and students and make it logical and reasonable and understandable, so that I could even explain it to somebody, although you put it all together, and that's quite the task and the job you have. And you do it so well. And you've always had this professionalism about you and integrity. So I know that it's not going to be easy to replace you. But I have faith that the people who have worked alongside you have also seen how to do the job like you do it. So you've been a great role model for everybody. And I wish you well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Member Castrodano. You know, I did not realize that you had been a math teacher.
Mm-hmm.
It all makes so much sense. It all makes so much sense. Your cool head, your analytical approach, your logical approach, and the fact that you were a teacher goes to the heart and soul of who you are as a human being, put it all together, and it's a perfect combination for the position. All right, stay in touch. You are not
Yes,
saying
ma'am.
goodbye yet, but this has been a great finale. You did a phenomenal job. All right, we're going to move on to item 1701. Dr. Jenkins.
Madam Chair, strategic plan update on summer school.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Jacobs, school board members, and Dr. Jenkins. This evening, I'm going to provide an update on our plans for our summer programs. From a series of federal grants and general funds, the district has been able to allocate $41.1 million to support summer programs in the months of June and July. All middle school and high schools will host their own programs. 120 elementary schools will host their own programs. That's including K-8 schools. Currently, 16 schools are anticipated to have fewer students meeting eligibility requirements, so they will be sending their students to another elementary school in close proximity. If enrollment increases at those sites, there will be a potential for them to host their own summer program. And we are checking those numbers this week, actually. In total, district-funded programs in grades K through 12 are expected to reach approximately 30,000 students this summer. The elementary school schedule, in large part, resembles a traditional school day, with ELA and math block, time for small group instruction to include remediation and/or enrichment activities, cell activities, and the opportunity for special areas. For grades K through 5, a summer instructional focus calendar will support teachers with ELA and math content. In ELA, foundational skills will be built up through the use of SIPs and Haggerty phonemic awareness. In math, Reflex Math, iReady, and other resources will be available to help foundational math concept knowledge. In addition, our CRMs from the 2021 school year will also be available to help reteach critical content or used as a pre-teach method to accelerate learning for the upcoming school year. The Visual and Performing Arts Department will also be providing summer activities for teachers. Both middle and high schools will offer an array of face-to-face classes this summer. Credit recovery will also be offered, as in years past, as well as the calculus project. Additionally, acceleration classes in ELA and math will be offered to provide students the opportunity to get a jump start on upcoming curriculum standards for the upcoming school year. All high schools will host Algebra 1, PERT, and summer band camps. Cell will be an important part of our summer program. Elementary school schedules will have a daily 30-minute block of time dedicated to cell activities. The curriculum resource materials will be available that align with the 5 CASEL components. The Student Services Department will also provide activities for daily check-ins and class meetings, as well as other cell games and resources for teachers to use during this time. All teachers will also have access to Nearpod online lessons. For secondary schools, teachers will embed cell activities into their classes. The Student Services team will provide resources for teachers to conduct class meetings with emotional check-ins. Cell games, SEL games, that include math strategies and/or reading strategies that embed cell into actual curriculum will be provided to the teachers. Secondary teachers will also have access to the online Nearpod activities that are age-appropriate for secondary students. Extended school year for students with disabilities is a continuation or extension of the student's current individual education plans. All students with disabilities must be considered for ESY services at the yearly annual review. Typically, the services are provided during June, although services may extend beyond this time period. These IEP goals work on a range from academic to therapy goals. Students will be served in cluster sites determined by feeder patterns. Additionally, this summer, OCPS will be addressing a loss of skill ESE students occurred during school closures as a result of the pandemic. Teachers and staff will focus on skill deficit areas based on data collected by the school and classroom teacher regarding IEP goals. IEP teams, which include parents and school personnel, have met or will be meeting to discuss areas in need of support based on data. The Multilingual Services Department is offering a variety of summer opportunities for our English language learners. The English Language Development Summer Program will provide students with a structured support targeting English language acquisition. This program will be in conjunction with each school's scheduled summer program and will provide an additional intervention for selected newcomer ELLs. Those are individuals 1 year or less in the U.S. The STEAM program, designed for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, will provide students with an opportunity to integrate science, technology, engineering, and mathematics into collaborative units focusing on vocabulary development. The Summer Literacy Academy provides students a guided preview of the ELA standards covered during the first quarter. These incoming 6th and 9th grade students will receive instruction or pre-teaching on targeted grade level ELA standards scheduled for the first 9 weeks of school. This will allow them to gain essential skills prior to the 21-22 school year. The Civic Engagement and Leadership Camp, in partnership with the Close-Up Foundation, is designed for 10th and 11th graders. Based on a topic of their choice, students will be researching, writing proposals, and presenting their proposal of action. They will learn with other students across the nation via live computer sessions. Students will also use an interactive online civics-based curriculum that includes engaging topics such as foundations of government, international affairs, and local and state government. The ELL College Bound Prep program is for students entering 12th grade who have not met the graduation requirements of passing the ELA FSA or obtained a concordance score through the SAT or ACT. Through the use of Appleroth, students will obtain the skills needed to pass these tests, fulfilling the graduation requirement. Each year, the Advanced Studies Department provides enrichment opportunities for students in order to help them develop their academic, social, and emotional skills while participating in advanced studies programs. The Orange Tip Summer Camp is an opportunity for rising 8th grade students to engage in career exploration activities as well as tour college campuses. Obviously, that's virtually. The Advanced Student Freshman Experience allows new advanced studies students to learn about advanced studies programs, time management skills, and how to manage stress in completing advanced studies courses. Parents also have an opportunity to participate in order to learn about these rigorous programs. The IB Middle Years Program Summer Camp allows incoming 6th grade IB MYP students to participate in enrichment and service learning with a focus on the International Baccalaureate approaches to learning. The CLEP Prep Summer Camp allows students who scored a 2 or 3 on select AP exams an opportunity to earn college credit equivalency through taking a CLEP examination. As part of this, students will engage in content review to prep for the exam, followed by the opportunity to take a CLEP exam at no cost to the student. The IB Diploma Program Summer Camp allows students entering the IB Diploma Program in the 11th grade the opportunity to engage in enrichment activities focusing on the requirements of the program, including required courses, the student management system, the creativity, activity, and service component, otherwise known as CAS, with a focus on the approaches to learning found within the IB Diploma program. OCPS is also hosting summer programs for our VPK students. The Washington Shores Primary Learning Center will host a summer program for students who did not attend VPK during the school year. 20 Title I schools will be hosting a Jump Start to Kindergarten program. This program is designed to support preschool to kindergarten transition with a focus on upcoming curriculum, acclimating to the classroom environment, learning classroom rules and procedures. They also focus on developing fine motor skills and supporting social emotional learning. Transportation will be provided for eligible students living more than 2 miles from the school, or they have specialized transportation based on their IEP. Acceleration enrichment camps, ESY, ESC loss of skill, ELL, and the calculus project will all receive transportation. As in previous years, there will be no transportation for VPK, credit recovery, PERT, camp, or advanced studies programs. All activities will follow approved safety protocols found in the OCPS COVID-19 Health and Safety Procedures Manual, along with current guidance from the CDC and the Florida Department of Health. During the summer programs, 2 clinics will operate at each school, one staffed by an LPN and the well room staffed by a health room assistant. Food and nutrition services will be providing meals during summer school. In addition, they will continue to operate the 67 meal distribution sites throughout the summer. And now I'll turn this presentation back to Dr. Jenkins for comments and board discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Bixler. Certainly, you can well imagine this is a rigorous summer program compared to years past, intended not just to recover lost learning, but also to accelerate and enrich our students. And on top of all of that, we're going to make sure it's fun as well, because we need our children to come so that we can work with them. Happy to hear your discussion, answer any questions you might have regarding our summer school program. Madam Chair?
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Thank you, Dr. Bixler, for this presentation. I'm sorry that I kept you waiting so long and lost over, because I'm actually surprised. I was really looking forward to the presentation. Member Byrd, you had comments or questions? You're recognized.
I just have a couple quick questions. Thank you, Mr. Bixler, for that presentation. It was very good. My first question is, all of the programs will be only live only, or are we doing any online
They're live.
programs? All of it's live.
They're live,
Okay. And then what are we thinking or projecting are going to be the class sizes, typical average type class sizes? Do we know that yet?
I don't know that yet, because we're still gathering, student requests to come. So, I mean, obviously, we're going to still follow the CDC guidelines with the spacing and the small class sizes. That is the goal.
Okay, but we're doing good with teachers, having
Yes,
teachers.
We're recruiting teachers
Recruiting,
every day.
okay.
In fact, we just sent an email out, the team did, to get new numbers of students enrollments. So if we need to make any adjustments to the school sites, that just went out today, actually.
Perfect, thank you.
You bet.
My questions are similar along the logistics side of it. In terms of the students, how are the students being selected? And if parents are tuning in and interested in enrolling their students during the summer, what is the process and the criteria?
It's very robust. We have, our department is reaching out to schools, inviting, giving criteria to the parents who can attend. I know the schools, the school principals, the school teachers. It's like an all hands on deck. We're recruiting every way possible to invite the kids. As Dr. Jenkins said, yes, it could be a little bit about recovery, but it's also about acceleration, having fun, getting the kids back into school with some classroom teachers and their friends.
So let me dumb the question down a little bit more. So I'm a parent. How do I know if my child is eligible to enroll? Do they have to have certain deficiencies on their class scores, or is it for anybody who wants to come?
Well, obviously for our ESE students, that's through the IEP process. But for the other students, teachers looking at the classroom data, school data, class grades, course recovery, credit recovery, any means possible that we can look at data to invite the students in, we're inviting them in.
Okay.
So Madam Chair, just in case someone is listening, parents are being contacted by schools, principals, and teachers for those children that we need to come in, but anyone who has a question or is wondering, they just need to contact their local school.
Okay, so I'm going to say back what I heard just to make sure I have it. So if I'm a parent and the school has identified that my student really would benefit from this, they're going to contact me. If I haven't heard from them, but I am interested and feel like my student would benefit, I can reach out to the school and see if there is room and they're eligible. Wonderful. Okay, thank you. That answered my questions. Let me go to Member Cobert next.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. People that I have talked to and told them that we will be having robust summer programs are thrilled, teachers and parents alike. So thank you for putting this together. A couple quick questions. Are there any before or after school opportunities? As you know, parents need those during the regular year. Will those be available for parents?
I don't know. I can find that. I don't know if we're having.
There are select schools that will host after-school programs. They can reach out to their individual schools. That information has already been shared by the various schools. Some will have their own extended day programs, and others will have programs from outside vendors.
Okay, great, because that need doesn't go away during the summer, so thank you. And then the Advanced Studies Freshman Experience, is that available in certain schools? How are students selected or eligible for that?
I don't have the list of schools, but I'll find that list of schools and share that with all of you.
That would be great. I think that would be a valuable tool for a lot of students transitioning to high school, getting those study skills and things like that. I'm very excited about that because that will have lasting repercussions
Absolutely.
for those students. So thank you. Great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Member Felder.
Again, I would echo what my fellow board members have said. Thank you for the report. I'd like a copy, hard copy. Is that possible for me to get that?
Yes.
I am grateful for teachers being able to work, and so many schools that are going to be available for them, and for the VPK. And I've already started recruiting the little 4-year-olds, people that I know, to go to Washington Shores. You know, I've started telling them in my community that you need to get your babies in school, start school. So I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful. And I know there are many teachers that are out there. That summer school money is so good. I remember that. I miss it. So anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. And I need a hard copy of that. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm.
Great. Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Most of my questions have been answered. I do, and thank you for this presentation. This was very interesting. And I believe someone asked this, but do we have any idea the need? Do we have any idea, how many students we're looking at just based on preliminary data that will be coming to summer school? How many students?
Mr. Bixler?
The original number we had when we first began to look at this was approximately 30,000 students.
Okay. And then, Madam Chair, one more question.
Follow up, absolutely.
What are we doing to try to find the kindergarten students that didn't come to school, or the pre-K students that didn't go to pre-K because it's not required? Are we trying to find and identify those students so that we can get them into summer school?
So we are working with our local coalition to have as many parents who did not attend VPK throughout the year to attend over the summer. There's an aggressive campaign, and we are partnering with them to be able to get information to parents and strongly encourage them to take advantage of those opportunities.
Member Gallo?
Thank you. And then Mr. Bixler, did you mention about the new standards? Did I hear you mention that are we going to be going over the new standards, the best standards that are going to be rolling out next year?
Mr. Bixler?
Over the summer with the students, or no?
So this is a little bit complicated. So for the grade levels K and 2, we'll be rolling out the best standards, which will start in August of this school year. So only grade level K to ELA. So we'll be touching on those subject, those standards over the summer, yes. Just, a lot of this depends on the skills and the needs of the students. So some of it will be obviously remediation and bringing them and closing that skill gap, and then some will be in preparation for the new school year. So next school year in grades 3 through 12, we'll be using the current standards for ELA and the current standards K-12 in math. So only K-2 ELA for BEST will be available in August.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. Member Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would love to know the criteria for the social emotional learning for secondary and elementary.
No,
Yeah, the criteria to participate in the social emotional learning.
Those skills and those activities will be embedded in the classwork. So if a student comes for ELA, the ELA portion of the day, those classroom teachers will just embed those SEL activities into the lessons.
So all of our students
Correct,
during
yes.
the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And I also congratulations for the multilingual programs and the ESC programs. I think that is very complete. But I still have a question on the civic engagement. Is that going to be something that is going to provide them credits for the multilingual students, or is just a review or something to strengthen their skills so when they take the classes?
It's just a camp. It's just a camp to. There's no credit for that. It's just a camp to engage in civic literacy.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Excellent presentation. Really excited about what we're going to be offering this summer. And Dr. Jenkins and Rob, both of you, thank you for a great job. Let's move on then to 1701. Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is time for the board to consider in 1701 and 1702 the Mater Academy charter, high-performing charter school system application, Mater Academy K-8 at Narcoossee and Mater Academy Narcoossee High School. Mr. Moody.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Madam Chair, board members, this evening we bring before you for consideration 1701, request approval for the high-performing charter school system replication application for Mater Narcoossee K-8 for up to 1,300 students. And 1702 requests approval of the high-performing charter school system replication application for Mater Narcoossee High School for up to 948 students. The OCPS application evaluation process consists of a review of the application utilizing the Florida Department of Education high-performing charter school system replication application evaluation instrument by a review committee. The process also includes a staff interview with the board of directors for the proposed charter school and a presentation by the same board of directors to the OCPS board members in a work session, which was held on April 6th, 2021. Both applications meet all the criteria in the areas of education plan, the organizational plan, and the business plan. Based on the complete review process, the applications have successfully met the requirements of the charter application process outlined in Florida statute. It is therefore the recommendation for 1701 approval of the high-performing charter school system replication application for Mater Narcoossee K-8 and 1702 approval of the high-performing charter school system replication application for Mater Narcoossee High School. Dr. Jenkins.
Madam Chair, members of the board, it is the parliamentarians' call that we do need to have separate votes on these two charter applications.
All right, thank you. All right, so we, I think one presentation, but two separate votes. Before, let me find out first if we have any members of the public on the phone or in person. I don't believe we have any in person. I do want to clarify, we have these in front of the board as a non-consent item. However, based on Florida statute, the ability of the board to have much discretion is largely defined in statute. I wanted to call on Mr. Palmerini just for a moment before the board takes up discussion or action on this, in terms of whether there's any basis on which the board would turn down this application based on Florida statute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
I can hear you well, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Madam Chair, when looking at the statutory basis with high-performing charter school system replication applications, the school board has to establish by clear and convincing evidence. Preponderance of evidence is 50% plus one. Beyond a reasonable doubt is like 90, 95%. Clear and convincing evidence is like a 75 to 80% standard, that the charter application does not meet certain standards. And the statute says the application of the high-performing charter does not materially comply with the requirements of the high-performing charter school system. I've gone through personally. I don't see any basis for us to turn down, much less clear and convincing evidence to turn down. And let's make sure my computer's not blowing up as I'm attempting to scroll down. The second basis is the charter school proposed application does not comply with paragraphs 9A through F of 1002-33. That's the charter school is non-sectarian in its admissions policies. The charter school admits students in accordance with the statute. The charter school is accountable for performance as stated in its charter. The charter school shall not charge tuition, registration fees, or those fees normally charged by other public schools. The charter school shall meet all local health, safety, and civil rights requirements, and the charter school shall not violate the anti-discrimination provisions of the Florida law. I've looked at that. There's no basis under that subsection to find clear and convincing evidence. There's also a basis that the proposed charter school education program does not substantially replicate that of the applicant. Our staff has looked at it. It is a replication of their high-performing charter school system, and I believe it's down in Miami. The applicant has made a material misrepresentation or false statement or concealed an essential fact. They have not done that in the application, so there's no clear and convincing evidence there. And finally, the proposed charter school's education program and financial management practices do not materially comply with the requirements of 1002-33. Since they are high performing, the state has stated unequivocally that their financial practices meet the requirements of Florida law, and they've had no adverse findings. So, on the basis of the 5 factors that we could turn them down, I see no clear and convincing evidence that would allow us to do so, and I think if we were to turn them down, if it went up to the state, it's my opinion that we would get reversed.
All right, thank you, Mr. Palmery. I do want to clarify, I asked that question not because I come into this hearing with a predisposition to find a means to turn it down, but I do think for the benefit of the public who tunes in, I think it's important for the public to know what discretion or lack thereof the board has in this regard. So I appreciate you clarifying that for us and for the benefit of the public. Let me call on Member Castor-Daniel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Mr. Palmerini, for your explanation. Is there anyone here from the charter school? So if we have questions, you could answer them.
Yes, we have
Okay.
Fernando here with as representing the charter school. Fernando.
Okay. I'm sorry, sir. Is your last name Fernando?
No.
What is your last name, sir?
Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Fernando Barroso, and I reside at 4906 Genu Avenue, Orlando, Florida 32812. And I work for Academica. We're the education service provider for all the Matter schools. I can answer some of your questions depending on what they really are. I'm not.
Okay.
I would like to say, though, I'd like to thank Mr. Moody and Dr. Scott and Ms. Doyle and the staff for their efforts and the board for their consideration.
All right, thank you. I don't think I have any questions, but in case there are some, you're here to answer some. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Well, we recently, I know with Mr. Palmerini, we recently had to approve a modern charter school in Apopka under the School of Hope program. The state legislature passed, which gave the charters financial incentives to open and also financial penalties to the district if we turned it down. And strangely, that approval came before the board for a vote as if we had a choice again.
If we turned it down, the charter school would appeal to the state, and they would still be allowed to open, and the district would lose a large amount of funding. I think you even gave us some figures for that one. And then today, the same charter school company, Matter Academy, is before the board asking us to approve their 2 charter school applications under the high-performing charter school system replications. And again, the state has created another plan for charter school companies to locate in our district, regardless of the financial impact to the school system and our students. And with disregard to our county's comprehensive school building program. We have a number of charter schools in OCPS, and many of them have a unique program or serve a special need. And their board members live in the community and are accessible to the families. And in the work session, the modern charter representatives who came from out of town stated that they are building 2 schools on Narcoossee Road, and that the surrounding public schools are also high-performing A schools, the district schools, but that's where they expect to draw from. And they are bringing a school program, a performing arts program, when our district has a robust arts program for all of our students, as well as performing arts magnets in middle and high schools. We're also preparing to open an elite performing arts academy. The students that this school will draw from, the surrounding schools, means that those schools will also lose funding. When we deal with economies of scale across the district, we are able to pool our funding to provide smaller class sizes or a mental health counselor. When we lose funding, a school may lose a media specialist, or a full-time social worker may now become a part-time social worker. So I don't believe there is a need for these charter schools, as we already provide high-performing schools. We have great performing arts programs. The students and funding that they draw will negatively impact the services we provide our students. And the charter companies are coming from outside of our region. However, yet again, the state is forcing the board to approve these charters, or we face financial penalties from legal fees in an appeal process in which the state will automatically side with the charter schools. And that is by design. When this happens, though, the legislature is circumventing the school board's ability to determine what happens in our districts. And it isn't simply that they're creating a new process for approving charter schools, but they're going around the citizens who elected us. They're creating a parallel system of schools. And my colleagues on the board and the people who voted for me will not be surprised that I cannot, in good conscience, support this, and I will be voting no tonight on each of the amendments or on the votes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Castor-Dental. Let me just recognize where you're coming from. I appreciate your concern and your position on this. But as you pointed out, if the board follows suit, we will face an appeal, potentially a lawsuit. There is no doubt that the state will confirm this because they've already set up a legislative framework that takes away our ability to deny it. So while from a planning standpoint, putting a school that does the same function as our traditional public schools creates problems for us in terms of adequately planning where our resources should go, and may result in losing funding and losing positions, and that's all problematic. I want to just publicly recognize those points are all valid points, but we have to also recognize what is the value of a fight that we're destined to lose. That will cost us more taxpayer dollars. So do we double down on our loss? And this is not a reflection, by the way, on Matter schools. It's not a reflection on the individuals who run these schools. You are hearing a little bit of our frustration with a legislative framework that from our position doesn't always result in the best outcome for all children and all of our resources. Let me recognize Member Lopez. Member Lopez.
I agree with you and with Madam Chair and also with Karen Castor-Dentel. It's just kind of a controversial situation because I remember during the presentation from Matter Charter School, you know, we were having this conversation with all of my school board members, fellows, and, you know, the lack of representation on the board, you know, is questionable as well. I know that that is not part of the application, but it is a lot of concerns. For example, having all A schools in Lake Nona and performing arts, for me, the best thing in the county, you know, it's very concerning. And also, when I asked, you know, because I think that all of us were comparing our schools with the Matter School, and we know that we have that in Orange County Public Schools, you know, the performing arts, the opportunities for AP, the opportunity for technical careers. So, but they were saying that they're providing that initiative not for the families of Lake Nona, but for other sides of our district, and it's also concerning about the congestion that we have in our street in the city of Lake Nona. Say city because it's, you know, Lake Nona is something else. Lake Nona is, you know, for me, I just went to Lake Nona and I feel that I'm in Europe, you know. So and we have a lot of traffic and you know, I don't know. They are saying that they're gonna provide transportation as well. So, you know, I would love to know the opinion of my constituents at Lake Nona. I did not hear anything to see how they feel about this school because they voted for me, you know, as well. And I am here to represent them and to know their feedback on these schools. It's K through high school. So, and where is gonna be built, and how are we gonna deal with that traffic as well? So it would be great to have more feedback from my constituents from Lake Nona as well before I make a decision. I know that I have to make a decision today, but if I don't have feedback and I don't have answer to my questions, so you know where I'm coming from.
I do know where you're coming from. I understand. Vice Chair Gold.
As a constitutional officer, I will uphold the laws that we have to uphold, even when I don't agree with them. And there's many, many, many things that have been layered onto our operations and the design of school systems. That said, I personally think they're going to have a very hard time when they put their schools there. I think that we will beat them in every category and in every way from the aspect of a competition. And I think, you know, school choice, one of the things I love about school choice is it does make us better in a sense. It does challenge us. Our biggest challenge is communicating the assets that we have. And we continue to improve on that in a great way, but we have so many things to offer students that it's hard to get all of them out there in front of the communities. And I think if people do their homework and they really look at apples to apple choices plus the depth and breadth of choices within the Orange County Public Schools, not only in that geographic area, but as a school system, which is open to everybody, by the way, magnet programs, our Orange Technical certifications, our partnerships with dual enrollment, our programs with science and arts, and on and on and on. I could take an hour listing them all. I think that that healthy competition will speak for itself. That said, because of the letter of the law, I will support these two applications, and nothing against this charter school. I have this a similar one, and they do a great job, but they don't do it as well as OCPS in many ways.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gould. Member Lopez, your observations about your constituents, if I can just speak to that for just a minute, because I think that is the reason. I want to make sure that anybody that watches this doesn't think that we are trying to, this is about a power struggle, because it really isn't. To me, there is an issue of representation, and the reason why we have local school districts that are empowered to make decisions is because they're close to the people and better able to represent the will of their citizens. But in spite of the fact that I may have philosophical disagreements with how decisions are cast down, I agree with Vice Chair that at the end of the day, I took an oath of office. That oath means that I'm going to uphold the law. I find no basis for denying this, and I do know that the outcome of this will only rob us of additional funds. And for me, that would not be a responsible decision. So I think while all the points are made, and Member Castor-Dental, you are always very astute at looking specifically. Some of our schools, our charter schools, come in and they fill a niche that we might not otherwise serve, where there's no question it is a benefit to our students. In this case, that doesn't appear to be the case. I hope everyone thrives and does well, because at the end of the day, the bottom line is we want all of our children to excel. And we want to manage our scarce resources as efficiently as possible. And if the matter opens up, we will wish you well and hope that we will have a positive partnership, because that's what we all need to do here in this community. And we haven't found a way here in Orange County, in Orlando, to do that against all odds, and let us continue to do that. So with that, I will entertain a motion one way or the other. And need be,
Madam Chair, it's
Member Gallo.
Angie, I'll motion to approve.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Motion to approve, second by Vice Chair. All in favor, please say aye.
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 No.
Okay. Thank you. So it is all members except for Member Castor-Dental voting in the affirmative, and that's for. I'm sorry, and Member Lopez voting in the affirmative, and that passes. And that was for the K-8, and now we need to take a vote on the high school. Do we need another presentation? Okay. All right. I'm Dr. Border's sitting there, so I thought maybe I was missing something. All right. Is there a motion on the high school? Motion by Vice Chair. Is there a second?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Gallo. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Nay.
Okay, the same vote. Motion carries with all members except for Member Castor-Dental and Member Lopez voting in the affirmative. All right, we are going to move on to item 1703, and we do have a number of speakers that have waited incredibly patiently throughout our meeting. We have 4 speakers on this subject. Dr. Border, you're recognized, sir. A little closer to the mic. Sorry. I don't think it's on either. We can hear you, but we can't hear you through the mic.
All right, I think we're good now.
Better.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good evening, Chair Jacobs, members of the board, Superintendent Jenkins. Here with Doug Patterson, Senior Administrator for Athletics and Activities tonight to talk to you about a proposal for implementation of electrocardiograms for high school athletes beginning next school year. And so I'm going to turn it over to Doug Patterson for a presentation at this time. Also want to let you know that Dr. Dedlani will be telephonically present as well for the consequent discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Border, Chair Jacobs, members of the board, Superintendent Jenkins. As Dr. Border said, here to do a presentation on electrocardiograms for athletics. The agenda items will be electrocardiograms and electrocardiograms for athletic participation. So electrocardiograms will help us identify athletes who are at risk for sudden cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest is a condition where death can result from the abrupt loss of heart function. ECG screenings would assist in diagnosing several heart conditions that contribute to sudden cardiac arrest, and sudden cardiac arrest is one of the leading causes of death in athletics. ECGs for athletic participation. The proposal from OCPS would be ECGs will become a part of our annual sports activity participation form, and ECGs will be required of all high school student athletes prior to the start of their FHSA 2021-22 season. ECGs will be incorporated at spring as well as summer physical events, and physical and ECG nights will be advertised for all OCPS students to be able to attend. ECG events would be hosted on all high school campuses. As I mentioned earlier, we do spring athletic physical nights on our campuses. To help implement this in the summer of 2021, to help capture our fall athletes, we would bring ECG days to our high school campuses. In the fall of 21, again, we would bring ECGs days to our high school campuses to help capture our winter athletes, and then again in the winter of 2021 to capture our spring athletes. OCPS will be working with local medical providers to help provide scholarships for students, and funds would be established within the foundation for OCPS. An ECG would be good for all 4 years of high school participation, and ECGs will be required of all ninth graders prior to participation, as well as any students who transfer into OCPS from a district that does not currently require this. Centralized messaging will be provided by OCPS for all schools. I now turn it over to Superintendent Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Madam Chair, certainly ready to answer any questions and hear your thoughts. Reminder to any public that might be listening, we did workshop this actual topic previously, in case you're wondering. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Before I call on speakers, let me find out, do we have anyone on the line that wishes to speak to this issue? Okay. Let's take public testimony first, and then we'll hear from board members. I want to start with Martha Lopez Anderson. Martha is here as a parent and also Parent Heart Watch. I have known Martha for, my gosh, I want to say 25 years.
Yes.
And it is good to see you.
Likewise.
I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate how important this issue is to you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nice to see familiar faces. Thank you, Madam Chair, school board members, and Superintendent Jenkins. I come before you again as a mom first, and second as the Executive Director of Parent Heart Watch, a national nonprofit organization that solely dedicated to the prevention of sudden cardiac arrest and preventable sudden cardiac death. So as a parent, I thought I was informed and resourceful. And a little over 17 years ago, my son was rollerblading when he suddenly collapsed. And he suffered sudden cardiac arrest. Sadly, an AED wasn't available, and CPR was administered, but a little too late, because those that witnessed his collapse didn't recognize what was happening. What was really very sad to find out approximately 4.5 months later, that my son had an undetected heart condition that caused his cardiac arrest. And he had had a well child checkup just 30 days prior. So as a parent, you can imagine, I mean, what do? We protect our children, we nurture, we provide an environment, a nurturing environment, we watch for their what they eat and everything, and I just couldn't believe. So if you remember anything I say, remember preventable. This is preventable. And learning that a simple, non-invasive, painless test could have detected his condition, that haunts me every single day. And so there's a lot of reasons why people don't recognize that this is important. So complementing, enhancing the pre-participation physical evaluation for student athletes is really important for the following reasons. The standard history and physical evaluation alone misses 90% of those at risk for sudden cardiac arrest. 90%. Often, youth don't recognize their symptoms or of a potential heart condition. Parents and guardians assume that their child is okay, and they just check the box in those pre-participation physical forms. And the other thing that happens is that there's no dialogue. So it's mom, dad, can you sign here, right? And there's no dialogue. How do you feel? Do you get more tired than your peers? Do you have chest pain? Those type of questions that can be really helpful. And lastly, youth experiencing symptoms often don't recognize it as life-threatening. It's their normal. So if it's their normal, they don't know how to say, Mom, Dad, I'm feeling this, or Coach. They don't know how to say that because it's their normal, right? So sadly, 1 in 300 youth is at risk for sudden cardiac arrest. And 7 to 23,000 youth each year are lost to sudden cardiac arrest. That's a lot of children. So by enhancing the pre-participation physical evaluation, you have the power to protect and save young hearts. So thank you for your consideration. I have left a two-sided info sheet with Mrs. McGill for all of you. It's really comprehensive, and it's a great sheet for parents and student athletes themselves, okay?
Thank you, Martha. Martha and I knew each other back when she lost her son, and I know it's got to be hard for you to be here still discussing this. She is not the only person that I know. I actually know 2 other parents who lost children in elementary school to sudden cardiac arrest. And so it's very real, and I agree with you. I think what we can do to prevent it, we need to do to prevent it. So thank you. Let's hear from Sean Sema. Help me out with your last name.
No, you nailed it.
I nailed it. Aw, good. Welcome, Mr. Sema.
Thank you very much, Martha. I love you. You're amazing.
Mhm.
You really are. My name's Sean Sema. I'm from Melbourne, Florida. I'm a retired Air Force officer. I'm a medical provider. You're looking at the American dream. I came from nothing in the city of Jacksonville, Florida. I joined the military, and it gave me everything. In 2012, I retired from the Air Force. I have a beautiful family. We had a big, beautiful home, a nice car, beautiful pool. We had it all. My daughter at 16 years old was a cheerleader, a softball player, basketball player, was the picture of health. And one night she decided to go for a run at our local gym, and she suffered sudden cardiac arrest. She was dead. Sudden cardiac arrest equals dead. And my daughter never had one symptom. And what you should know is I've been a medical provider for 22 years. That night, they flew my daughter on a helicopter from Brevard County to ORMC. And I got on my hands and knees. And you'll hear this story over and over again. And I prayed to God to please give me a chance. Give me a chance to do something. For 3 days, she was in a coma. Her cardiologist, Dr. Fillart, who's really a well-known cardiologist here in Orlando, told me, Sean, your daughter needs a defibrillator. And I said, what are you talking about? She's 16 years old. And he said, you need to go read about sudden cardiac arrest. Again, I'm a medical provider. I've done over 5,000 school physicals myself. I didn't know this information. 20 kids a day, on average, at least, die every single day in the United States. It's the #1 killer on school campus of all ages. 1 in 25 American schools will have a sudden cardiac arrest every single year in the United States. It's the #1 killer of athletes, and as Martha says, it's 1 in 300 kids have something wrong with them that they don't understand. I personally know I've missed kids walking around with a condition that would likely kill them using 200-year-old technology to listen to their chest. Just like I couldn't put my stethoscope to the wall and hear electricity going through that wall. you can't hear it in the heart. You can hear an irregular heartbeat. You can hear a murmur. But most of these things, and you're going to meet a couple moms that had their kids had conditions that were missed on every physical, like my daughter. We fought in Brevard County to make this a requirement. In Brevard County alone, since June of 2019, we found 39 kids with deadly heart conditions, most of them who've had surgery, like the folks you're going to meet here in a second. Osceola County, 19 kids with deadly heart conditions that passed every school physical. Orange County, that's not required, but I can tell you our group has screened here, and we found 12 kids in the last 5 years, 2 from Boone High School. I know I've gone over, but I just want you to please give me 3 seconds. This email is from Molly Fitzgerald. She is the athletic trainer at Boone High School, and she sent this to my daughter. To my wife who helps us. Hi guys, I just received a phone call from a mom whose son received a heart screening during our November screens. Found out he has WPW, which is a deadly heart condition, and he had his procedure yesterday. She is singing the praises of the screens, and she's so thankful that we offered them. She even said that she would not have normally ignored my emails and not sign up. But her friend's son had also been diagnosed with the same condition at our first screening, and he had also had surgery, so she decided to do that. I want to pass this along and thank you for what you're doing, and keep it up. Your work matters. Our children did not go through what they went through. She lost her son. This is something that needs to be addressed, and I'm so thankful that you guys are taking the time to do this. We wonder, why did our kids go through this? And it's for this, and it's from them, what you are about to hear. I thank you, and I applaud you for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Seema. Let's hear from Shauna Scarborough, followed by Marianne Hendricks.
Hello, I'm Shauna
Welcome.
Scarborough. You can hear me? Should I turn it down?
Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
And this is my daughter Ashlyn. We're here representing who we play for. We come as a testimony for what saying yes to supporting ECGs in schools can do to save a life. I apologize. I know I'm going to get emotional. That's why I wrote it down. Ashlyn has been playing flag football since the age of 8. She has had the required annual standard physicals of height, weight, and her vision checked, and the regular stethoscope check. She's always been healthy and athletic without any health concerns that were visible. Less than a year ago, she was an incoming freshman to Harmony High School in Osceola County, where it was recently made mandatory that high schools are required to get an ECG as part of their sports physicals. She had her ECG done. The next day we got a phone call from Sean Seema, from who we play for. Sean explained that Ashlyn's ECG showed that she had a heart condition called WPW, Wolff-Parkinson-White, in which her heart had an extra electrical pathway, which could lead to sudden cardiac arrest. We immediately went to pediatric cardiologist, Dr. Dunlani, to get a full checkup, in which was also confirmed again that she had textbook very strong reading of WPW, and the only treatment would be a heart procedure called an ablation. If the procedure was successful, she could continue to play football just 2 weeks after the procedure. Ashlyn's love of football outweighed her fears of the procedure, and she immediately said, "Let's do it." We were set up with a pediatric electrophysiologist, in which she got further testing. He also confirmed her WPW, and it was strong. Her yearly physicals that she used to get with just a stethoscope would never be able to pick up on her condition, because WPW is an electrical abnormality with the heart. The only way for this to be caught on a basic level was with an ECG. With my reluctancy and fear, we got the heart ablation done. In most cases of WPW, it's just one extra electrical pathway, which most times goes unnoticed until something like SCA happens, or sudden cardiac arrest. However, in Ashlyn's case, she had not one extra electrical pathway, but she had 3. She was at severe risk for sudden cardiac death. I'm sorry. At severe risk for being just another statistic of a teenager who suddenly dies on the field. I'm so sorry. While playing the sport she loves, yet a 5-minute ECG done at the school physical saved her life, as well as several others I now know through the network of people I now call my friends. Ashlyn's ablation was successful, and she's now considered WPW free and can play the sport she loves without any concerns. I urge you to vote yes for mandatory ECGs for sports physicals. You could be the reason a life is saved, like Ashlyn's was, through the Osceola County School District.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Mary Ann Hendricks.
Okay,
Welcome.
well, hello. That's a tough one to follow, right? But I'm here to tell you that 3 years ago, or not 3 years ago, excuse me, 4 years ago now, my son was a rising athlete in Brevard County. Never had a symptom of anything in his life. Got accepted to go to university, Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida. He shows up with all the other athletes, middle of July, to start camp for the summer. So he comes to camp, and I don't know, it must be by the grace of God that that was the 4th year that they had had a football team at that school. So those coaches were determined, we're going to go out with a bang, and these 18 seniors that are going to graduate, this is who we're going to focus on. So my little, well, I say little, but 6'3" wide receiver who was gung-ho to play collegiate ball kind of sat on the sidelines and watched a lot of those plays through that summer camp, which, mind you, was 7 days a week, 2-a-days, 1 in the morning, 1 at night, meetings with coaches, working out in the weight room, doing all these things. And my eager little son just standing there, never had a symptom ever in his life. EKGs were performed by who we play for, who partners with Parent Heart Watch, for the very first time the year my son started college in 2017. Out of almost 300 athletes that they screened in that screening that was massive, my son was only one of 2 that had presented with an issue. My son also had Wolff-Parkinson's White, an extra electrical pathway. My son had 3 surgeries throughout his college career. The first one was unsuccessful, and a doctor came out to me from Lakeland Regional Hospital, called my husband and I into the waiting room where 25 people sat supporting my son in this surgery. And I had a doctor look at me and say, "I am so sorry. We did everything we could." I literally slid down the wall and started screaming. There was absolutely no consoling me. How does a doctor say this to a person? What he meant was the opening to my son's electrical pathway was behind his heart and less than a centimeter from a main artery. A surgery that I was told would be 2.5, 3 hours took 6 hours as I sat in there waiting to find out if my son was dead or alive. And this is what I presented with, you know? So needless to say, we had a second surgery at UF Shands. That one was also unsuccessful. They did it cryogenically, but it took 6 hours because it was the opening behind that heart. Finally, on the third surgery, as that electrophysiologist sat with us and said, "If it were my child, this is what I would do. I would do it a third time. Third time's a charm." Well, folks, third times was a charm. November of 2021, my son's pathway has been sealed. But through this experience, you know, we talk about mental health and all of these things. I don't know how this child did what he did, but, you know, he mourned the loss of football, right, for like 2 weeks. Then he dusted himself off, and I'm proud to stand here and tell you that on Friday, April 30th, my son's graduating with his degree in biological medical sciences with that's his bachelor's degree, and a minor in chemistry and a minor in religion, because it's a very small Christian school. And that athletic director, when I met with him for the very first time and I walked through the door with my son, he looked at me dead in the eye and he said, "Mary Ann, if your son is the only life we save on this college campus over the next 10 years, it's worth it." So I urge you and say to you, there are children in these counties that have no idea. My son was a football star. He was going to go places, you know. But now he's going to pursue pediatric cardiology. He's taking the entrance exam to medical school on the 4th of June. So it's a wonderful story. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you.
Please do the right thing and save lives in your county.
Thank you, Ms. Hendricks. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for sharing your stories with us today. Member Gallo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say that I after hearing the testimony and doing the workshop that we did the other week, I'm in full support of this EKG. I know that there's been some questions raised and some concerns with the testing, and it would lead to false positive and athletes wouldn't be able to play. I have spoken to a board member over in Brevard County, and as it was mentioned, this has been in place since 2019, and they haven't had any of those issues. And as I think Mr. Seema mentioned, they've been able to save 39 lives. So with that alone, I mean, the chance for us to save lives is, I'm just in full support. So I just wanted to state that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Vice Chair Gould.
Well, as you all know, I'm more than in full support of this. I am a huge champion of wanting to do this. One of the things that we talked about, actually a couple that we talked about that I didn't hear in your presentation. This year, I know we had consensus that we were going to start with the athletes, but encourage marching band and JROTC to go ahead and, you know, maybe on a proactive way, try to get them to ask their clinicians and stuff to go ahead and do that, and then roll it out next year, including them after we've kind of done the mass. And I didn't hear that in the program, and when I walked away, I thought that was kind of where we were, and I just want to follow up on that.
Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Member Gould, Vice Chair Gould, that is correct. We want to start with our athletes and then, as Brevard and Osceola have done, and then follow suit. I think part of our marketing campaign of informing our parents of why we are doing it will include a strong encouragement, no matter what your child participates in. We encourage you when you have your child's physical, any physical, that you ask them to include this screening. And so we will make that a part of our marketing campaign. Your resolution is simply a decision for what needs to start right now in spring. We will come back later at a later time and include those additional categories based on our accomplishments with this first group.
Okay, thank you for the clarity on that. That helps. I just want to make sure that we don't miss that opportunity to absolutely educate everyone, and especially those that are having strong physical exertion as they also come into their camps in the summertime coming up. I would love to be the one to move this forward and have this go forward and get started ASAP. So thank you to the work that the team's done. Thank you, Dr. Dedlani, who is on the line, for your input, your support, your knowledge, your carrying the flag on this, and both with OCPS and in the community to make sure we have the safety net in place to help all students, whether they're insured or not. A couple of the emails that we've gotten, I do want to make sure are clear. In our budget format, it says it's net zero to the budget because it's not going to cost anything out of our normal regular budget. However, we have created partnerships through our foundation to make sure that safety net is in place for all of the students, with community partners that are here tonight and those that are not. And we deeply appreciate that, and some private funders, I believe. So we deeply appreciate that support to make this happen. It is absolutely the right thing to do, because if we only save one life in the next 10 years, sadly it won't be, but if we only saved one, it made it all worth it.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Let's hear from Member Felder.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate your sharing the stories. My heart was moved, and I just feel for what you are, understand what you were going through. And I've been talking to football coaches. I've been getting calls since Friday from football coaches because their concern is that they needed to know, could they get the EKG the same time they're getting the physicals? and they were concerned about having to pay for it. And I assured them that we had not a real cardiologist, that's coming in, and they're going to do a real clear screening. And if there are problems, and some of my response was that you want to know if there's something underlying that you don't know, you need to know it, and then so he can get straight. The second concern was if there is something that's found, and then there's a need for an additional screening. How would that be secured in terms of the pay? And remember, Gould just talked about we're having people to come in. Then the third concern, some of the schools with children at some of our low socioeconomic areas, they may have to work on those days or may not be able to get the screening at the particular time it's coming in. But I understand as a board, we're going to work very hard to make sure the screenings for the physicals and the EKG will happen. But will they be able to, if they miss it because of work, some of them have to work because they have to compensate, will they be able to get it? And then with the return being enough time that the season will not be interrupted. But I am very much in favor, as I shared with most of the coaches, and they agreed. I say, you want them to live. Most of the coaches were former NFL players, so they do understand what I was saying. I said, and we have to make sure, because it would be a sad state of affairs if we let a child play and they land out on the field and you think about maybe to get them up for the next touchdown, but that's a mother looking and that baby can't get up. I said, so you need to understand where we're coming from. So if we can, know that's going to happen, because we're not trying to interrupt their season. And you did mention something, sir. You said that you had physical EKGs. Nothing happened in the winter of 2021, because this is where we are right now. You had EKGs already? Sir, when you were giving us the rundown. Me? No, my school board, the AD. Patterson, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to know your name.
You're okay. We have had some schools who have done it. Moving forward, we are going to be bringing them to our campuses this upcoming school year.
Okay, so you've had some schools, but not all of them. But this time around, when we vote, and all of the schools, right, are going to get, and that's my concern. I need all of the schools in this county to get that same strenuous type of EKG and physicals. Okay, well, and that's going to be the same time, right? The
That's
EKGs
correct.
and the physical at the same time.
Our spring physical nights are approaching. They're starting. First one is tomorrow. EKGs will be offered for students that elect to go to their campus to get their physical done. And we will communicate to all schools if a student, like you brought up, is unable to attend that evening for whatever reason. We will communicate that to all schools and assist in getting transportation to make sure that they can get to
So
another
they'll
campus.
be able to get it done, because they can't, if they don't get it done, they can't be released to play and so the season. But I'm so glad that we are a board of compassionate people. We're all women and mothers. I'm a surrogate mother. These are biological mothers up here. But so I'm glad you understand, and we certainly are with you and feel your pain. So thank you so much. But I'm concerned that if they can't come on that day, that there'll be availability for them to get it, and there'll be enough turnaround time so that the season, you understand, will not be disrupted. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. Member Coper.
Thank you, Chair. First, I'd like to thank the speakers. I know firsthand how intimidating that can be to come and stand up in front of a board and do this. And you spoke on such a deeply personal matter. And what you did here tonight is really move the hearts and minds of this board. I want you to know that. We've had a few emails, concerns about what might happen. We might have a false positive. We might delay a student because they have to have some further testing or procedure. We might this, we might that. But what we will do is save the lives of children. And I think that that is much more important than what might happen. So I am enthusiastically in support of this, and I greatly appreciate Dr. Porter and Mr. Patterson for bringing this to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Covert. Member Castrodano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I agree with my colleagues who have spoken so far today that the speakers, thank you for coming and sharing your stories. And to Dr. Border and Mr. Patterson, thank you for being such leaders on this issue. I am in full support. It sounds like you all have really thought through having the schedules of the physicals and EKGs or ECGs with enough time before a season starts. And it looks like you've thought about the different seasons and sports. And it seems to me like you've kind of managed the issue of capacity of testing when you break it down. But do you know about how many athletes you might have come out on a physical night at one of the high schools?
Our athletic physical nights range drastically. We have some schools where 25 or 30 show up, and we have others where we have 300. We are going to ask our schools, I'm meeting with them tomorrow, to really advertise this more than ever, so that the very first physical night and ECG night, we have as many there as we can. But it does vary across our campuses.
Okay, so to kind of follow up on what Member Felder mentioned, like if they miss this one night and they don't get the information or the handouts about this, is there a plan to continue to follow up? Is it through the coaches? I mean, how are we going to communicate the importance and the necessity?
Dr. Jenkins?
So that's an excellent question. So think of how we do our current physicals. When students can't make it that night, they can go to another location for the physical. I can assure you our coaches and athletic directors do everything they can to support those young people. It's no different than how they've been getting around to the physicals because they cannot play without the physical. So this is an additional requirement that they will do. I can assure you our coaches and athletic directors will make sure, just as they have done with the physicals, that they get those students to the screening locations.
Okay, another question I have is where can students get an ECG outside the physical night and outside of their pediatrician? Can you get one at a Minute Clinic or?
No, because they won't do it right.
Where else could they go?
And Madam Chair.
Mr. Jenkins.
And so certainly we don't want to be handing out medical advice here, even though someone in the audience had an opinion about it. We shouldn't be handing out that advice here, but certainly any student or any family who has concerns, if they contact us, we will certainly help get them directed in the right location, including some of our wonderful partners that are going to do that, make those provisions without having exorbitant charges.
Okay, I just want to say that it might be helpful, if it's not already in the works, to have a place that any student could go to any day, according to whenever it's convenient for them, not just their scheduled night, but whenever they can. Just an idea. All right, thank you.
Dr. Jenkins, looks like we'll take that into consideration. Couple of comments. Vice Chair Gould, you had mentioned the issue of marching band and cheerleaders and other extracurricular activities. One thing I think would be very valuable, and I do want to thank each one of you for being here and for your testimony. And Martha, I want to commend you for the years that you have spent never letting go of the ability to change others' lives and to save so many lives. When you talk about the number of students that were discovered at Brevard, and I hear that number, and I think that after this year, one of the other consequences of this will be much greater awareness to our own parents if we're able to share without identifying individuals, but if we're able to share the number of students that we discovered, I think that parents will be doing what they've never done here in Orange County before, and that's taking the initiative, whether their child is in sports or not, because a child doesn't have to be in sports. Obviously, the risk is increased, but the underlying condition is there regardless. Martha's child wasn't in sports. And so I think the added benefit of just raising awareness will save even more lives than we could possibly contemplate. So I am very excited that we're moving forward. Relieved, maybe a good word, right? So I'm going to recognize Member Gould, who I think would like the privilege of offering a motion. Member Gould?
I also wanted to comment that we have a very wonderful primary care access network group that consists of many fine family care and acute care providers, including, Orange Blossom Family, Community Health Centers, True Health, Grace Medical, Shepherd's Hope. That network has been updated on this and is aware of this as well for the uninsured. And then many of the pediatricians that are out there are already equipped to do this. And if they're not, they have partners who can help. So that's why there's a variation. But I would like to make the motion that we approve this recommendation for moving forward with our ECG program for our athletes with a great, robust marketing program.
All right, we have a motion by the vice chair. How many seconds do I have? I think everybody will second it. The first hand I saw go up was Member Castor-Denel, followed by Member Covert, followed by Member Lopez, and then but it was only because of the order in which I looked. So we'll go with Member Castor-Denel, but if the record could reflect that the entire board seconded the motion. Member Gallo, would you also like to second the motion?
I would love to. Thank you,
Okay,
Madam Chair.
okay. All right. Great day here in Orange County Public Schools. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Patterson, Dr. Border. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for being with us all this time, for the delay, but for your testimony and your heart. Okay, Dr. Jenkins, let me actually look at the agenda. Okay, we have Mr. Curran at the podium, or at the table. Go ahead, Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For my report, I want to share a presentation because on May 5th, we're also going to be sharing it with the Orlando Economic Partnership. So we're very excited. If you recall, a few weeks back, we've had presentations around innovation. I told you we had challenged cabinet members. We have our modeling and simulation magnet coming up at the old Winter Park Orange Technical College site, and we've got agribusiness coming up and the Conservatory for the Performing Arts. Well, other folks on cabinet would not be outdone, and so we have a joint partnership, CTE, HR, and IT. They want to talk to you tonight about skills-based hiring. And I have to say, some of this was prompted by Member Lopez, who had some concerns about some of our employees that she can certainly speak to after the presentation. But thanks to that prompting and very creative minds, we want to talk to you about skills-based hiring and what OCPS will be doing in that arena. And we will also be sharing it on May 5th with the Orlando Economic Partnership. So Mr. Curran's going to start us off.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, school board members, and Superintendent Jenkins for the opportunity to share and update you regarding our innovative CTE, HR, and ITS skill-based hiring and training update with you this evening. What ITS is facing with our staffing challenges is that we have candidates that apply it that have the knowledge and skills but may not necessarily have the college degree required. In the Orlando area, there are thousands of open IT jobs. Companies are actively looking for IT talent. Candidates have certifications or degrees that do not match the need. It does me no good to have a candidate with a degree but no relevant experience. Candidates need to be able to produce work products immediately upon hire. I'll now turn over the presentation to Jim Preisser, Senior Executive Director, Preisser. I'm gonna get that right, Jim. Oh.
All right, can you hear me okay? All right, thank you, Robert. Now that we know what the problem is, what is the solution? The solution is skills-based hiring, as we've referenced. Skills-based hiring is when employers, better define the skills they need, hire based on individual skills, not solely on a four-year degree, credentials, and/or job history, and expand training at every stage of the career, thus expanding opportunity for all. Skills-based practices help talent acquisition, retention, workforce diversity, and morale. And if you look at the display, you'll see that we have an illustration there that shows what our current state is and where we plan to move to. We're focusing more on competencies versus credentials. So your question might be, how does skills-based hiring work? Skills-based hiring uses competencies to attract and hire candidates so that you can focus on the job, distinguish qualifications between required and preferred competencies, and also reduces a bias by using inclusive language on the job posting and description. So what you have there in this illustration is a pedigree-based job posting. What you might see today, it focuses on, what is your background, potentially work experience, job posting specificity and prioritization in terms of qualifications. But a skills-based job posting really focuses on competencies. So it talks about, attracting and hiring candidates to do the job. And also the main piece, and I'll get into this shortly, is it speaks to required versus preferred competencies, and it really distinguishes those two. And we'll talk about a very specific job posting shortly. So when we look at different factors that we consider to determine how and who we hire in the district, there are a couple different things that we focus on. We focus on vacancy rates. Sorry? I'm sorry. There we go. We focus on vacancy rates, okay? We focus on candidate interests and candidate eligibility, which includes certifications, minimum qualifications, et cetera. All those are factors that make up our availability as it relates to our candidate pool. What you have in front of you is a crosswalk description between a system engineer, current state versus future state. So the current state, when you look at a system engineer, and this is something that we really have an opportunity for right now, the system engineer itself, I'm sorry, it's not advancing. Thank you. I can tell you that this is definitely a challenge here. It's not moving. See, even the IT guy's having a problem. There we go. That's the screen I'm looking at. Thank you. All right. So now you have the crosswalk in front of you. So you can see the current state for a system engineer 1 position and the future state. And you can see that the crosswalk itself illustrates and provides you with that high-level overview of that current state versus future state. And, when we look at the credentials in the current state, you see the 2 years of recent system engineering experience. When we look at the future state for the skills-based job description, we're focusing on competencies. You can see that we're talking about critical thinking, analytical skills, and that allows more individuals to become part of the pool in terms of eligibility and actually being able to post for the position. And then you can see that when we talk about the qualifications, we actually have required qualifications and preferred qualifications. And we'll get into some more specifics around that when Melanie speaks to some of the opportunities within CTE. But the focus, again, for us, as you know, part of our strategic plan for 2025 is recruitment and retention. And so our main focus here is that we believe that we can grow from within. We think that we have individuals currently in the organization, and Robert spoke to this earlier, that we think we can build up into this position. Let me move to the next. It's not forwarding. Yeah, I'm on the slide right here. You can put that. Yeah, I don't. Yep, that's the slide I'm on. Yep. So the slide in front of you kind of gives you the. Thank you. Kind of gives you the overarching view of a specific position. So we have TSRs, right? Your technology support representatives. And when I speak about the opportunity for individuals to grow from within the organization, that's the role we're talking about. We think that those individuals can move into a system engineer 1 position. But our focus is how do we have trainable, we have untrainable things, right? We know that the requirement, you have to have specific competencies. And I spoke to those earlier, analytical skills, critical thinking. Though we believe that our technology service representatives have those competencies right now. But we also believe that there are elements that we can train them on, so we can move them into the position. So now that we have revamped the job description and rewritten the job description, we know that some of those individuals will become eligible to post for that position because they meet the competency component. And now we can start to focus on training them to skill them up to be successful in the System Engineer 1 position. So with that being said, now I'm going to turn it over to Melanie, and she's going to talk a little bit about what we're doing in CTE to accomplish that goal. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Thankfully, I have an IT guy behind me.
Let's see if CTE can figure this out. Okay, so as Jim said, you know, the focus is talent acquisition and retention, but it's also broad-based prosperity and upward mobility from within and diversity from within the organization. But as my team and I are out meeting with business partners, we're also learning the trends in the skills-based hiring. Industry partners are really interested in the competencies, the knowledge, and the skills. They're all talking about the required versus the preferred skill sets. They're focused on strong, specialized skills that are gained through competency attainment rather than strictly educational attainment and years of experience. So they are looking at baseline skills, specialized skills, and specific relevant software skills across sectors. So these skills are normally overlooked, though, in the hiring process as we look at resumes and years of experience and whether or not they have a bachelor's degree. So in CTE, we have developed what we're called skills-based training. And these are short-term CTE programs designed to get people back to work quickly. So we have developed them in CNC production, which is advanced manufacturing. These are just some examples. Construction basics, certified production technicians, forklift and pallet jack operators. We had our healthcare partners come to us and ask us to design specifically a pre-CNA program for them, and so we're offering that as well. As a CNA program, we're doing basic office skills, welding assistant. But we need to kind of get back to Robert's problem. Robert has system engineer positions that he needs to fill. In October, we started a short-term rapid credentialing program around CompTIA. We have right now about 30 TSRs that just organically enrolled into that course that are just about ready to finish. In addition to those 30 internal candidates, we have 15 adult students who are enrolled in our CompTIA program. It's a 450-hour program they're getting ready to complete. I've seen personally some resumes of some students who are on the verge of completing who have passed the CompTIA exams and would be eligible to apply for the Engineer 1 position based on the revised job description. So we're looking at how we can really develop that talent pipeline from within. But I can't forget that over here,
Those TSRs are so valuable at schools. Ask me about CTE testing. I need every one of them on their feet and operational. So you take a look at those 15 adult students who haven't worked in IT before, who are getting their CompTIA certifications, they would be eligible to move into a TSR position. And so I draw your attention to Denise, who's on the screen. They, one of their news partners did a story about her. She has always wanted to pursue a career in IT, but never really felt the need to, because single mom, she's working in the restaurant industry as a waitress. She made good money until, of course, the pandemic. She enrolled in our program. She's on the verge of completing. But she has the baseline skills that we want in a TSR. She knows how to manage a ticket system. She has the customer service skills. She can manage people. She knows how to expedite. Those are all skills that I know I need on a campus, someone who's supporting my CTE teachers. So we're looking at not only how can we fill that engineer one position, but we have to backfill that TSR position. So some of the outcomes that we anticipate, that grow our own talent pipeline from within, but being mindful that when we move those people into those positions, that we have to be able to fill the hole that's been left. So we're looking at that broad-based prosperity, that upward mobility for our colleagues within OCPS, and aligning our programs and working collegiately across departments to look for other opportunities where it makes sense to do that, and then expanding the model as appropriate. And so, Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, and thanks to the team. Just a couple of comments. I want to add a disclaimer because Mr. Curran did make a comment that named a particular grocery store, so we need to probably edit that out. But the truth is, when we have engineers that get to a certain level of skill, they are easily recruited away with very hefty salary offers. That's just the truth. Engineers can be recruited when the offer is something that they just can't turn down. We don't begrudge neither that grocery chain nor our employees because they are bettering their lives. What we want to do is make sure we are helping to groom others to move up that chain as well so that they can make more money, have a better living for their family as well. And so I love the example that Ms. Stefanovich offered, that when you move one up because of skills-based hiring, give them a new opportunity, then you can move someone else up into that slot as well. And as those dominoes keep clicking forward, or as the rungs in the ladder go up, we are very excited because the potential is when we have bus drivers who work over the summer, Mr. Curran has them come in and help log in computers when we're cleaning them off and getting them ready for the next year. We want to say to some of those, why don't you start taking some of these classes afterwards so that you can move up the rung and be a TSR? If you get some certain certifications under your belt, you can move up and have a higher paying job here in Orange County. And we'd like to be able to look back in years and see individuals who have climbed up those rungs on the ladder, may not actually have achieved a degree, but the industry certifications far better prepare them, along with the job work experience, far better prepare them for what we need in some of those specific positions. And so we are extremely excited about the possibilities for our community as a whole and for our own employees. I have to tell you, Tim Giuliani and the Orlando Economic Partnership, they are very serious about their mission is around broad-based prosperity, that our entire community can have their prosperity lifted in large numbers if we pursue aggressively some of these initiatives. And skills-based hiring is something that they've been pushing for others. And why not Orange County Public Schools? We are in the education business. We'd like to lead the way around skills-based hiring. You may have also heard, and I want to be very clear, we are not downgrading the value of a four-year college degree. In fact, some of those higher level positions, you are still going to need a degree. But we can start to make inroads so that individuals who may not get to that point have an opportunity to climb up that ladder in their own ability to take care of themselves and to take care of their family. By no means are we discounting, but you will notice there's a growing trend with some of our large tech companies where they are putting on their own training and development for individuals as they want to promote and make sure they're prepared to do the work that they have available for them. So very exciting, so pleased with, and it's not that we're just competitive. They didn't just come up with this because of the last three presenters, but we are absolutely, well, we are competitive. Let me just be honest. We are somewhat competitive, but they really were excited about this notion of what else can we do to push the needle forward for this community. As we come out of a pandemic, I'm telling you, it's time to look forward with some bright light at the end of the tunnel. And so this will be good for Orange County Public Schools, for some of our employees, and for our community. Very excited about it. Certainly want to answer any questions you might have and hear your discussion. Madam Chair.
Perfect. Well, the board's kind of lit up, so let's begin with Vice Chair.
The only thing I want to say is kudos, because this is like a dream come true kind of a program that we are growing within. We've talked about this. Dr. Williams and I have talked about this for years, and it's just, and not even in IT, but in other opportunities. And it is great for the community. And you did answer it somewhat, but you also see this as possibly a retraining tool. Do we have the capacity to be able to handle all of the retraining? I know that you're a tremendous partner with CareerSource and with many of our employers, but it's a pipeline.
So that is absolutely true. And so I've been working very closely with the county government. They've been watching our skills-based training programs very closely, and they're interested in making an investment in the next round when they get their stimulus money. Additionally, the governor's CARES funding and the HERF funding that we've received, we have invested directly into these programs, both as tuition support for students locally, but as we've had a need to expand, particularly like, for example, around phlebotomy, CNA, we have been able to, with the use of that funding, add some part-time teachers to add to the volume. So we're working to keep up as we can, and we're relying right now on the support of CareerSource, the county government, but also that CARES stimulus money and the HERF dollars to support it.
Follow-up, Chair. So are you finding it easy to recruit teachers?
No.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a
nationwide
plea we can put out right now is I think some of the hours are somewhat flexible on the certification side, or do you need full-time teachers? Could you explain what you're looking for?
Right now, we're looking for part-time hourly to fill the gaps, and as if we grow and we can if it can be self-sustaining through our various funding mechanisms, then we would be able to look at expanding into full-time, but right now it's part-time hourly.
Great. So just to put the word out into the atmosphere, people who may be employed but would like to maybe do something on the side, or people who were displaced because of this pandemic that have the skills, this is a great entree and network back into the community. So come sign up to be a teacher.
Thanks, Vice Chair. All right, Member Lopez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would love to applaud the effort for Dr. Jenkins and the staff for creating these opportunities for our classified employees as well. I think this is a great opportunity. I don't know, I would like to recommend maybe ESOL classes for classified employees that need to improve their skills, and they can aspire to have a better salary in a different type of job. I know a lot of teachers from different countries that are professionals in other countries, but because they have a barrier in the English language, they're not be able to have another jobs. I think this is a great opportunity to provide that type of opportunity at no cost.
Thank you, Member Lopez. Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Member Lopez, you raise an excellent point. That's why I knew you would immediately grab onto this, because we've talked about trying to help, how do you help our lowest paid employees grow and improve their own livelihood working for Orange County Public Schools. And so that's part of the impetus behind it. It's certainly for external candidates. It's certainly for our own high school students, but we want to make this, we will market it and make it strongly recommended for our own employees who can improve both in ESOL. That's an excellent point. We have it offered now, but we need to market and encourage individuals. If you came from another country and you're driving a bus, but you really have background skills that can help out in IT, then we want to help them get that English proficiency so that they have more opportunities. And you raise a point about at no cost. I'm pretty sure I want Ms. Stefanowicz to speak about costs, because I don't want our employees to be discouraged thinking they've got to save up money to be able to take the courses.
So for the adult basic education and ESOL, we are statutorily obligated to charge a nominal tuition, but I have local waiver authority, and so I can waive that tuition. If we have employees who are interested in the career and tech ed programs, if it's something short-term or our career in a year programs that are a little longer term, right now, most of those employees will be Pell eligible. If they're not, we have a tiered structure for scholarship. I have internal scholarship available. We have the HERF dollars and the GERF dollars, which most of that money is going back right around to support student tuition. But at the end of the day, when you get down to that tier, I've also got local waiver authority there as well. So we can definitely work with our colleagues to get them to reach the goals that they want to achieve.
Thank you.
All right, Member Felder.
Sorry, and I would add, I didn't want to leave this out. They can do it before and after their work hours. They don't have to set aside, take leave from work. They can still drive the bus or help out in their custodial duties and be able to take those courses before and after work hours.
That is correct. We are obligated by the Department of Ed to be flexible in our course offerings and offer throughout the entire day.
Member Felder.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation. With dealing with COVID and coming off of that, what a welcome relief, for people to know that they can get a better job, and we're working within our own. I'm so pleased that we are working, some of the lower paid employees, to have an opportunity to learn a skill. And I'm so glad that Member Lopez talked about some of our English speakers of other languages, because it's true. They may have another skill, but because of their language barrier, they won't know, but we can offer this for them. And you said something about having the teachers now. Will that also open up opportunities for some of the teachers who may have already been working, but because of the budget cuts and so forth and lack of students enrollment, will they be given that opportunity to come back to teach some of these people?
If the numbers reflect and support the addition of staff.
And I say that because I just believe in working with what we have sometimes, because you're used to it, you're used to the system, and you want to do it. And I'm so excited about technology. Not only that, but I'm excited about our technical schools. I often tell people that my father he owned a dry cleaning business, and that's what sent me to Spelman, along with the work that my mom did as a teacher. But, and again, as the superintendent said, we're not at all moving away the importance of a 4-year traditional college in your matriculation in that endeavor. However, what runs the world is the skills that people have. That is what controls and run our world. So I'm happy, and I hope that all of our employees in the district, heck, I may try to take some skills and learn how to do it. I learned how to make a garage door opener when I was teaching. They had us go to all the technical schools one summer. So I'm very proud of that. I know how to do that. Anyway, but thank you. And I'm hoping that some of those teachers that were, laid off or whatever, as we get more people in, that they can get their jobs and be able to come back into the fold. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Felder. Member Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. Well, once again, I am blown away by the creativity and the innovation that happens in this district. And I just want to say a word to Dr. Jenkins. I really want to commend you on consistently having your finger on the pulse of what is happening in this community. Your work with the Orlando Economic Partnership, and your hand. I feel like your hand's just everywhere, and you know what everybody's doing. You know what this community needs so well, and you're such a good community partner, and you lead this organization in a way that continues to make us leaders in our community and good partners. And it's just beautiful. It's wonderful to see. So I'm thrilled with this whole idea that we are looking at how we can lift people up around us and lift up the community and lift up our employees and help make their lives better and help give them opportunities. It's just fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you, for all your work you've done on this. And I'll just quickly say, I sure hope that as you mentioned, looking at the bus drivers who may be checking in or out the computers or whatever and offering these opportunities to them, I sure hope that we also can look at our at-risk high school kids that may be at risk for not graduating high school, wanting to get a job, or, are struggling to get through school, that we could maybe say, hey, I see that you're really good at this tech stuff. How about you check out one of these classes and look at what these guys are doing, up at the district. And, let's build from within with those kids too, because they're, as we've said before, they're pretty brilliant with this kind of stuff. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, Member Byrd. Member Gallo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to echo the sentiments of my fellow board members. I think that this is a wonderful program. And as Dr. Jenkins stated, it really is the light at the end of a very bad pandemic year that we've all struggled to get through, all of us together collectively as a family. And it is these ideas, these innovative ideas that put us out in front and help us to be the leader in Florida. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not concerned about charter schools that move in, because as Member Gould pointed out earlier, I don't know that they'll be able to compete with us, because we continue to be innovative and to move forward and to put our community, our employees, and our students first. And as long as that we continue down that path, we can't lose. So I want to commend Dr. Jenkins and her staff and everybody in CTE, Melanie, who worked on this great job. I'm in awe as well, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Gallo. Member Casterdental.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with what my fellow board members have said. Of course, this is a great initiative, and thank you, Dr. Jenkins, for kind of putting it all together. And I'm glad that we were able to try to solve some of our own internal problems with hiring, but it seems like it created this cascade of opportunities for our students and our employees. And one thing I haven't heard is the effect it will have on the culture of our district when we are looking out for those who are already here. And I think it will create a sense of loyalty to OCPS when we are looking out for them. And those are those non-trainable effects as well, that I think those are powerful effects of a program like this that you can't, there aren't other ways to really do that. We can't reward our employees with money, because with that our hands are tied and our budgets are limited. So other ways to help them grow that we can give them, I think, will have a really positive effect on the climate and the culture. So I appreciate that.
Well, as is said from time to time, everything has been said, but everybody hasn't said it. But I tell you what, there's just, I know, that's what I want to say is ditto, ditto, ditto. Member Byrd, I echo everything Member Byrd just said. And Member Casterdental, you just brought up, a whole nother dimension that you said culture. I kept thinking morale. Culture's bigger, more important than morale. But it speaks volumes when we can give our employees a career and a future and a path that they don't have right now, when we can't give them the pay that we want, but we can give them the ability to get to that point. And to get to that point by learning and by growing and by doing just what it is that is our core mission, So really, really exciting stuff. Thank you. That's all I got to say. Just thank you. Congratulations, tremendous, exciting. Can't wait to go out and brag to everybody we can brag to about just one more great initiative. Dr. Jenkins.
So before I give over, complete my report, sitting in the back of the room is the CFO for his last board meeting.
No.
He thought I was going to forget. Dale Kelly, stand up so we can recognize you. Godspeed, my friend.
Darn. Last meeting. I didn't realize that.
He will be here until next Friday, but there won't be another board meeting before he departs. So all of our appreciation, our love,
All
our
right.
our
Let's
good wishes.
try this
sent
one
to
more
him.
time for Dale.
Oh yeah.
I just have to say, who am I going to call and ask all my questions to now? Who am I going to drive crazy?
Dr. Jenkins, anything else? Okay. I think this means we must have graduated, Member Byrd. Maybe we're supposed to know all the answers now, right? Ms. Enval, you have a report for the board. I know you have an announcement.
I do, actually. It's not necessarily a report, but it is an announcement. Pursuant to Section 286.011, subsection 8 of the Florida statutes, and in accordance with Board Policy BEC, an entity may meet in private with its attorney to discuss pending litigation to which the entity is presently a party before a court or administrative agency, provided certain conditions are met, including the requirement that a transcript of the executive session will be made part of the public record upon conclusion of the litigation. In this case, I am requesting the school board's advice concerning pending litigation styled as JP and BP on behalf of SP versus Orange County School Board in case number 2021-CA-003217-0. On Tuesday, May 4th, 2021, immediately following the work session scheduled to begin at 1:00 p.m. The executive session will be a closed meeting held in Conference Room E at the ELC and will take approximately 1 hour. A notice has been drafted for posting, and those in attendance will be Teresa Jacobs, Chair, Pam Gold, Vice Chair, Angie Gallo, School Board Member, Johanna Lopez, School Board Member, Linda Cobert, School Board Member, Vicki Felder, School Board Member, Karen Castor-Dental, School Board Member, Melissa Byrd, School Board Member, Dr. Barbara Jenkins, Superintendent, Amy Enval, General Counsel, John Palmerini, Associate General Counsel, and a court reporter. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay. For committee reports, let me turn to Vice Chair Gould.
So yes, thank you. We had a communications committee meeting last week and really spent some time on taking inventory of our kind of personal outreach and influence, as well as the assets that we had internally, so that we could continue to refine our ability to communicate well with our constituent base and our community. But also at that meeting, we did discuss a board statement on the Bright Futures, and I would like to read that now and propose that we move forward with getting this statement out. The mission of the School Board of Orange County is to create enriching and diverse pathways to lead our students to success. The Bright Futures program has become an important part of our many students' post-secondary planning and the key to their success beyond high school. Predictability of funding for our families is important as they plan out the post-secondary future of their children. We are deeply concerned that the recent proposed legislation changes to the Bright Futures program will jeopardize the hard work and planning of our students and will disproportionately impact children experiencing poverty and middle-class families. We would like to make sure that the board, I see nodding heads everywhere, is in the affirmative, that we would like to move forward with this, and maybe if Member Gallo would also chime in if she's in
Yes,
support.
Member Gallo, you're recognized.
Oh, thank you. I love the statement. I read it earlier in the email, and I'm in agreement that we should push it forward. I actually had another announcement I wanted to make when everybody was done.
No problem.
Thank
So,
you.
Member, or Vice Chair Gould, would you offer that in the form of a motion that the board approves the statement, and then we'll work with communications to get the statement in the hands of our legislative delegation?
Yes, I so move the statement as read so that we can get it out to the community and in the hands of our delegation.
Excellent. Do we have a second?
I will second that
Second
one.
by Member Byrd. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Let's, Member Byrd, I'm going to call on you because I think it's related to this, and then I'm going to go to Member Gallo. Okay, no? Okay, oh, then I'll go to Member Gallo. Member Gallo, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to announce the reason that I'm in Tallahassee and not in the boardroom this evening is because of the Baker Act bill that I know that's been important to all of us, the entire board. It passed today on the House and is set to go to the governor for signature. And it does require prior parental notification. It requires that SSOs receive SIT training. And it has a continuum of care, of mental health care for our children that we haven't seen before. And it also has some safety language that was implemented into it along with civil citations. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that's passed. I feel comfortable that the governor is going to sign it. And I've never been more proud to work on any piece of legislation other than maybe recess in my life. And I just wanted to share that with the board.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And recess was really important. It was extremely important. I more and more realize how valuable that was, Member Gallo. Member Byrd, you're recognized.
Well, that is actually one of the first things I was going to mention. I wanted to give my congratulations to our fellow board member, Ms. Gallo. As long as I have known Angie, this has been a passion of hers, and I'm just so proud of her that she has been up there just fighting. And you know, we all know her. We know what a firecracker she is, right? So she's been up there fighting for this bill for quite some time, and for it to pass today and be headed to the governor is just it's just phenomenal, and I'm just so proud of her. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to our fellow board member. Then the other thing I wanted to mention is not really a policy level, but I'm hoping that maybe we could start discussions about something I mentioned at the communication committee meeting about the possibility of having some kind of I don't know what we want to call it, maybe like a round table type thing about school overcrowding, school construction. Because I know that now that our cities and our municipalities are not able to do their CEAs, they're starting to really feel the pressure. I've already had city commissioners come to me, talking to me, what are we going to do about these schools? I don't know. That's what I've been wondering, for the past 3 years. So glad you're on board now, So they're feeling the pressure. I think now is the time that we need to maybe bring them together, our staff, our knowledgeable staff together, maybe county government, I don't know. But I would like to start those discussions about having some kind of meeting of the minds to discuss this issue, figure out what we can do to make it better. And it kind of dawned on me earlier when we were talking about the charter schools. This is one of those things that that I think we definitely need to address for that purpose too. I mean, if parents have the option of sending their kids to a really overcrowded school, or they've got a charter school down the street that's not overcrowded, that's something they'll consider. So I think that it's a really important issue, and I think that if we bring the minds together, we can maybe come up with some things we haven't thought of yet, and maybe there's some changes we could make. I don't know, but I definitely think that it's time to, talk about doing that.
Okay, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think I agree that we should be having conversations with, and I think it's maybe one municipality at a time, because I think it's just too big of an issue to try to take on with too many people at the table to understand it. But if there were some solution, I promise you, we would have found it in the last 2 years. This is the reason that in 2019, I started sounding the alarm as loud as I could, and you guys supported sending a letter to the governor, because this legislation was taking away our ability to mitigate the impacts, period, end of subject. And absent change in legislation or the freedom to collect the revenues that we need to build the schools we need, there is no solution. When we worked with with GOBA, we worked, we tried our darndest to get a bill through, and we now face the consequences. The only reason you haven't heard sooner is that the county abated their charter amendment. And so by abating it, they basically said there is no CEAs are necessary. None of that's necessary. Pretend like we don't have a charter amendment. Just keep passing through all the development. That time frame is coming to an end. I didn't think it had expired, but I just got a letter from Mayor Nelson, and there is a gaping lack of understanding by our city partners that they are in a charter county and that there is a charter provision and that it has a binding impact and that citizens in Orange County have a right to be represented. It doesn't mean they can't move forward with approving development, but it means that citizens have a right to be able to look to an elected official that's voting to overcrowd their schools. They hadn't had that before. They have that now. So before we talk about solutions, we need to make sure that this board is very clear about what the problem is and how we got here. Then we talk to our counterparts, and I think we probably start with the POPCA, because there's been a massive denial in Apopka of the problem, and now they're living through the problem. What we warned them when we tried to block this bill was this was going to be harder on them than it was going to be on us. And it is. So, but we need to understand this, and I am not convinced that this board has a good hand. I don't mean to be insulting, but it's complicated, and it's not what we do day in, day out. It's something I've lived through, I created, I understand it, but I think we need to understand it amongst ourselves before we bring somebody in to talk about it. And then I think we bring in and we work with one jurisdiction at a time. We need to be, continuing, and we continue our dialogue with the county. The reality is the county, not the school board, is in control of what happens next. We're in the same situation we were after 2019 when everybody was like, what are we going to do? And it wasn't ours to solve. It still isn't. But until we understand it, we can't communicate it. So we are going to convene. I would say we should do it in the form of a work session. And let's go back to the basics, get a handle on this so that we can then have a conversation about whether that means more freedom of money, trying to undo this legislation, whether elected officials just need to recognize that they are going to have to make a decision of schools over homes, because it comes down to that. There's going to be push for us to start using the referendum dollars that we collect and build more schools versus equity. That's a tough issue. We fortunately have finally gotten to the point where we have repaired, renovated almost all of our schools. Better, an easier conversation now to have than it was 15 years ago. This board had these conversations 15 years ago, and it wasn't pretty. None of us were here, but I watched it. Dr. Jenkins, you were probably here. It was not a pretty picture after the first sales tax passed. So anyway, we have our work to do. We'll get started on that. Amy and I have been discussing that. We're discussing what's the best way for us to proceed forward. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Member Castellano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to thank Member Gallo for all her hard work, because this isn't the Baker Act legislation is so important, not just to me, but to all of the children that will be
hopefully get the attention and their needs met, the attention they deserve, and hopefully it will help prevent traumatizing unnecessarily so many of our students. So it is so important what you have done, Member Gallo, and I can tell you that even a good bill, a great bill, is hard to get passed in Tallahassee. They don't just find good bills that make sense and say, let's pass this one, this is a good one. It's not how they operate. So it is a reflection of the legwork and the time spent educating legislators and staff and being dogged and going after it and working with so many people. And I appreciate your efforts, and I congratulate you and thank you. As a follow-up, I didn't know if she wanted to say thank you. Also, another issue is there a discussion, I guess this is more for, I don't know if it's for the board or Dr. Jenkins, about requiring all of our employees to be vaccinated come the fall?
Dr. Jenkins?
There is certainly no determination on the part of the administration would be interested in hearing that discussion from the school board. I do know there seems to be at least a resistance at the state level due to privacy issues and HIPAA. I think the governor has been less than excited about the notion of anything that's mandatory, but certainly willing to hear the board's discussion. I do know we had about 87% of our teachers and over 70% of our classified staff saying that they wanted the vaccine, which means you still have a small percentage who were not interested in it. And so the ability legally to mandate as an employment requirement is probably very unlikely that we could do that legally, but certainly happy to hear any conversations. And we want to continue to market and strongly encourage that employees would consider it, but no discussion, no legal standing that we can tell whereby we might make it mandatory at this point.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Maybe there's some other ways we can incentivize it if there are areas. I mean, like an ice cream social, get your shot, come get your ice cream.
Well, you do know there is one particular state where they are incentivizing with money for young people to get their vaccine. So who knows? We can be creative. We can come up with some thoughts if you'd like.
Right, yeah, you get that. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll throw my 2 cents in. The governor, his position on mandatory vaccines, I think is pretty clear, and I doubt that there might not be a firm prohibition against us doing it right now, but I have a feeling there will be as soon as we try. But I could be wrong. I'm sure you are too, constantly monitoring where the governor is on various issues on COVID. So. All things COVID. All right. Any further issues to come before the board? All right. With that, Angie, congratulations. Great job. We're all incredibly proud of you down here.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
All right. If nothing further to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned.